general definition are women who have decided enough is enough and they are trying to, I guess, refocus our focus as women. But specifically, my podcast, the Pick Me podcast, is about foundational Black Americans and Black people and how if you don't choose you, nobody else will. And we're in this day and age of people kind of giving up their identity so that they can get something else. And I think that if you work on yourself, then you will get picked. So essentially, kind of like how girls want to be picked by a potential husband. We are in the fight for our lives for reparations. So we have to be the vanguard. We have to be the ones who are speaking up for us, so that we can get picked. Everybody else is getting picked, and they're not doing nearly the amount of work that we're doing. So um, just kind of playing on all of the words. Essentially, people want to use pick me as a derogatory term, saying that we're women who talk shit about other women. We are women who will just let a man do whatever. And I think it's always powerful if you can take something derogatory and make it positive. So that is why we have the Pick Me podcast.
I want to ask you a question real quick, just Eve. And you're online, and of course, you do the podcast about this actual topic and relationships. And like you're saying, is there a major backlash against the women that would be quote unquote called a pick me?
I actually don't ever get any backlash on the channel, but just in conversation on Twitter, there's a lot of women who are entering into their soft girl era. So they were independent women, like how Boosie said, but then they found out that life is hard and they don't actually want to be the ones working until they die. So they're trying to get the men to come back because they're saying that they're soft now. They're not so hard anymore. Um, I like getting into discussions with these women because they are confused. I think that once you make a decision, you should probably try to write it out. And if you're not, then maybe you should be accountable for your bad decision before you just switch it on up.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this question because when people this certain term gets thrown out there, it's considered offensive to women. But the term submissive, whenever that term is put out there, um, a lot of people feel a certain way about it, both men and women, when the term submissive comes into play. Exactly, what's your feeling on submissiveness? Is that like the big no word? Like you guys just try to stay away from that, or do you embrace it, or exactly what's what in terms of when a woman says she doesn't have an issue with being submissive, or a man asks or he wants a submissive woman, because it's kind of almost like when people think of submissiveness in a woman, it's almost to the point where they say, well, she has no backbone, she can't stand up for herself. Just what's your opinion on that?
That's a good question. I think that people think of submissive and negative because we have this story with being enslaved. And if you were a good slave, you were obedient and quiet. But I think submissive with regards to someone's relationship. And actually, I see my co host in the building. Maybe you can throw her a mic. Isla is a co host on the Picking Podcast, and
Oh,
she
okay,
can definitely
definitely.
offer some insight. But with regards to submissive, I think people don't know what humility is, and because they don't know how to act with humility or they don't know how to be humble, then they think that being submissive is this bad thing. But if you're working with someone and you're following, you being a woman, not you obviously, but if women are following the man's program that they're with, then they are submitting because it's his program. But if you've chosen a competent leader to follow, then you should have zero issues with following the program. And
Oh,
I get it. The word submissive might, have like a negative connotation, but I really just think that's related to our story and enslavement. And then everybody else wants to use it. Like white women want to use like, you're treating me like a slave. Okay, bitch. No, no. That's not that. And then black women will say the same thing. I'm not your slave. What? No. When was the black man ever enslaving the black woman? That's not real either. So people just probably need to open up a history book written by the right people, and then they'll be able to put two and two together.
Okay. Now that was a great response. And Isla, shout out to you, Isla. I see you in the spaces all the time. I've never heard Isla talk before. So, I didn't know she was one of your she was your co-host as well too. I've seen Isla in a bunch of spaces before. So shout out to you, Isla. I definitely hope to hear from you tonight, sister. I've never heard your voice before. I've never heard you talk, but I'm glad to have you up in the space as well too. And something, damn, so I just had something I want to say, and it just slipped my mind. Hold on, give me 1 second. Um, submissive, and I was gonna actually branch off of that what you were just talking about in terms of the submissive thing. But let me. Okay, here's a question I want to ask you. A lot of times we hear in terms of submissiveness, they said that in order for a woman to be submissive to the man, I want to get your opinion on this, and I want to get Isla as well too. So Isla, if you get a chance just to come up here, because this is for you and for any woman in the room that wants to answer, and for any man that wants to answer as well too, because we want to hear from men and women tonight. But in order for a woman to be submissive to a man, does a man need to pay all the bills? Does he need to be able to everything in the house he takes care of financially, and then that woman could be submissive to him? Or could it be that she's paying a portion of the bills, he's paying a portion of the bills, but she still has a submissive nature to that man? Or does he needs to be able to go ahead and take care of everything financially, and then that woman could be submissive to him?
That's an excellent question. I will just say Jeff Bezos. No, I'm just kidding. It depends. It's up to the man. He has to have a program for her to follow. And if he's saying that we need to be 50-50 and she's cool with that, then 50-50. But if he's saying I got this and you need to pick up this over here, then she would need to do that. But I think that if they're working in tandem, if they are communicating and having conversations, then whatever the plan is, however they decide to move as a unit, it'll work for them. And it's not going to be the same thing for every couple, because you've got domineering women and you've got effeminate men. It doesn't mean that she's a dyke and he's a faggot, but it does mean that people need to know their role and how best to use themselves. So she's handy around the house and he can pick up the slack with an extra bill getting paid or something like that, then they can play to each other's strengths. But if she's out here thinking that because she's paying all the bills she doesn't have to follow or submit, like we were just talking about, to his authority or to his leadership, then she probably doesn't need to be with him. But that's kind of all part of the initial conversation. Like, they should have had a conversation about what's expected, and then each party can lay it on the line. Like, look, I can't do that, or I'm not gonna do that, or I only want to work 4 days a week. You need to figure out how I can only work 4 days a week. And from there, she needs to be an angel if she's going to be having all these demands, and her man is saying, okay, I'll do that.
You bring up a great point. The reason I say that, because when we look at most black men in the country, I believe their salaries is in the 40-some thousand range or whatever. So if we're looking at how things are today in terms of mortgages, rent, you're talking about light bills and everything else. There's only a small portion of black men. Now, I'm not even including all men, but there's only a small portion of black men who can actually afford to go ahead and pay for everything. I'm talking about the food, the clothes, the shelter, the automobile, everything that you can think of, daycare for the kids if that's needed or whatever. Or if he's taking care of everything, maybe the wife may stay home and actually watch the kids as a way of reducing that bill where you don't have to pay for daycare. So that's a question that I always had. I can just speak from my personal experience. My parents, they were married and they were together. My mother, she passed away in December, but they were together, close about 50 years. And my mom, she worked a long time for the state. My dad, he worked, and at times in their careers, he made more money than she did, and at times she made more money than he did. But nonetheless, things that we look at and things that people may say, well, this is what a woman would do in terms of washing clothes and cooking and cleaning and stuff like that. She did that kind of stuff, even though they had to split bills up as well too. And I said this before, before anybody else in that house ate, his plate was fixed first. Like, okay, I'm gonna fix his plate first, and then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna fix the kids' plates first. After that, and then I'll go ahead and I'll eat or whatever. So she, she was from a different era, whatever like that. But even though, and I don't know if I would say that she was submissive, because she talked some noise as well too. She was quick to tell you what she wasn't gonna do and this and that or whatever. Hey, y'all big enough. I'm not the maid and this and that. But at the same time, yeah, you still going in there, you still cooking, you still cleaning. Before you go to church on Sunday, you done made Sunday meal or whatever. So when you come back, everybody's got food in the house and this and that or whatever. So yeah, you raise hell sometimes, but you still went ahead and you did the traditional stuff that a woman did or whatever. So every relationship is different. I understand that. Some women, they look at you and they say, well, hey, I'm not fixing your plate. What's wrong with your hands and this and that? And there's nothing wrong here. I'm a man. I can go in, I can fix my plate or whatever. I mean, if you fix the food, I don't have an issue with that. Or I don't have an issue going in there cooking myself as well too. I'm more the type that likes to jump on the grill and do things of that nature. But I always wonder that, because there's a certain demographic of men in this country that can go in there. I mean, that can actually go ahead and say, you know what, I'm making six figures. I'm making $250,000. I'm making $175,000, $180,000. Look, baby, I don't want you to worry about working. You just go ahead and you raise the kids. That way we know they're being taken care of, this and that. I'll go ahead and I can provide it. Then there's other brothers that may go out there and say, hey, my one job making $40,000 a year ain't gonna get it. I'm gonna have to go out there and get another part-time job, but at the same time, I'm gonna need you to chip in and help me out as well too. You don't have to worry about the big bills. I'll take care of the mortgage. I'll take care of the car note. You just go ahead and you take care of the light bill, and I'll take care of the food, and maybe you take care of the phone or something like that. But that's something else. Like I say, I guess, like you say, it depends on the actual mate that you're dealing with, the person that you're dealing with, and truthfully, when you get to that point, I would think that a husband and wife, long before you get to that point, you guys are already having a discussion about how the bill breakup is going to be or whatever. Because, like I say, a lot of people feel like if your wife, and I've heard women say before, like, yeah, you wanted like the old school, you wanted where a woman is submissive and she take care of the house and this and that, but then you got to be a man and you got to pay for everything, you got to take care of everything. So that's the topic that I want to hear too, because I've heard that before from women, like, yeah, well, if I'm doing this, then you got to do everything. You got to go ahead and you got to pay for every single solitary thing in the house, because people will say, well, you know what, back in the day, men, they took care of all of the bills and they took care of this and they took care of that. But at the same time, you let people know, like, well, we're talking about a different era in terms that, hey, let's be honest, you have more women in the workforce as well too. So men are competing with women for jobs as well too. As before, you didn't have the amount of women in the workforce that you have now. You're also competing with people coming all over the world and stuff like that as well too. So there's a lot of competition for jobs now in this country that it wasn't, say, 50, 60, 70 years ago. So prices are cheap. Prices were cheaper back then, and big families were the thing to have and stuff like that. So it's a discussion, like I said, that I definitely want to have with you guys. And I know you're doing your thing, and I know you're trying to promote family unity as well too. So I just want to go ahead and say that much right there. I see you came up to speak as well too, and everybody coming up in the space, y'all go ahead and tweet the space out. Let's go ahead as well too. I mean, I know we got some people in here. Y'all got some questions. We got Jess Eve in here. Hopefully we'll get her co-host to come up here when she feels comfortable. We would definitely want to hear that. And I just want to have a conversation, because like I say, this is something to me. And Reeps, thank you, appreciate it for the condolences. But I just want to go ahead and have this conversation as well. I thought this would be interesting. We know how big that the actual dating and relationship genre has exploded over the past 5 to 10 years. And like I say, for the fact that I didn't even know about what the actual term "pick me" was until a few weeks ago, I felt compelled to come up here and and just have a space on to talk about it, because we cover the news and so much in this space right here, but we also want to cover culture and lifestyle as well too, matters as well too. So definitely, like I said, I definitely appreciate that. And what is there a goal in terms of your goal for having this podcast? Is that just to try to ensure that you have more Black marriages, more Black family unity and structure as well, Just Eve?
That's a very good question. I think you asked good questions, Newstoter. Look, I don't necessarily ascribe to everybody being married. I don't think everybody's supposed to be married. There's some people out here who need help. But it doesn't mean that we're supposed to be out here alone. We are a social people. We've always been a social people, and we work best together. So if you can find someone who will work with your crazy, that's great. And then again, what have y'all decided as a unit to best go forward? And essentially, foundational Black Americans always get pushed to the side by everybody over here. So it's time for us to choose us. Like, pick me, bitch, because, like, I'm you and you me, and not, like, bitch, because that's extremely effeminating. But I'm just saying, like, essentially, the notion is that we need to be choosing ourselves first. And then from that, you will find who you're supposed to be with. And I see Isla did come up, so maybe she can help elaborate.
Yeah, because I don't want to wear you out too much, but I'm glad that she came up. But and real quick, like I say, because I want the question to go to both of you guys. But your viewership and your listeners, is it pretty mixed? Is it one demographic more so than another? Is it more women listening to you guys or more men?
I think that we have more men listeners than we do have women followers or listeners. But I think that that's a little backwards because we are out here trying to talk to women. I know that it's hard because we don't necessarily want to take the medicine. We don't like tough love, and we don't like accountability, and we don't like knowing when we've fucked up. And women, don't like when I, Eve, am so mean about it, because really, I don't feel like we have any time to waste. And I feel like once you kind of coax, or I guess I feel like it's an enabling process when you're talking very soft and not necessarily highlighting the bad. But when you highlight the bad in a way that makes people uncomfortable, I like uncomfortable conversations. I feel like it makes people move. It might not be the best move, but at least they're not standing still anymore, because still is stagnation, and stagnation is death, and I don't want that for us.
Absolutely. And I saw you put on, and guys, in the jumbotron, Jess E, she has her is that a link to your actual your podcast, your YouTube podcast?
Yeah, so essentially we have spaces on Wednesdays, 9:30 Eastern Standard, and then we put some of them on the YouTube, which is, I posted it in the jumbo. So not all the spaces end up on the YouTube. We're actually kind of doing some housekeeping and trying to make some playlists and have some categories, because there are topics that we talk about. You know, we talk about education, we talk about health, we talk about relationships like we've been talking about. But again, because it's not necessarily a relationship program, it's more about self-development, I guess. And then from there, there's 9 active areas of activity that we need to be focusing on, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. DJ, when you get a chance, I sent you some texts as well too. So put some of those I don't know if you're in the space, but put some of those in the actual jumbotron as well too. Shout out to everybody coming up in the space. I see Aunt Liz up in here, Carlos, Thaddeus, this guy, everybody, Infinite. I see you guys, Black Precious up in here. Shout out to you guys. Y'all know I'm on that Twitter jailhouse suspension, so go ahead and tweet the space out. Please go ahead and tweet the space out. We have Jess Eve up in the space tonight. And you can see by the title, she does the Pick Me podcast, and Isla as well to her co-host. So we have both of them up in the space. We're talking about the conversation, the topic behind Pick Me, and y'all pretty quiet up in here tonight as well too. So I want some of our people, our usuals, to come up in here and speak. For those that because I know Ray, he's up in here, Professor DJ. I know there may be some questions as well too. I'm new to this. I like I say, I'm learning. So I invited these sisters so they can come and not only educate me, but educate those in the room who maybe never heard of it as well. So this is a little different space than we normally have, but nonetheless, we try to show versatility in this space as well too. So I definitely want to have this space, and I'm glad that these sisters blessed us with their presence, and I appreciate it so much. I'm trying to think. DJ, Ray, go ahead. You got it. DJ, let me real quick. Ray, DJ, are you in the space?
Yeah, I'm here, bro. I'm just sharing it in the background. What's going on, everybody?
Okay. Go ahead, Ray.
I got a really quick question for Just Steve. So, with this podcast you do, the Pick Me podcast, do you get a lot of pushback from men or women?
No, actually, I find it's actually frustrating for me, and I talk with Isla about this all the time. I don't necessarily want an echo chamber. I think it's cool that I found a group of people who agree with me with what I'm talking about, but because I want to change things, I can't just be around people who agree with me. I need to be talking to people who don't agree. I need to be trying to change the narrative, if that makes any sense. And can't really do that if everybody in the space is all together in one accord. But it does mean that a critical mass is brewing of people who believe what I believe and are willing to have uncomfortable conversations on their own. That's what we say probably every Wednesday, is that, you can take what we've talked about, maybe you never thought about it like this, but, in your conversations, because I know people are getting pushback on their own, they're in their lives, with regards to how they believe things should be going. Maybe they have some new insight and they can articulate it in a different way. And hopefully that'll help get them the person that they're trying to talk to, or convince that 2 + 2 is 4, because you shouldn't have to convince people, but there are people out here saying 2 + 2 is 22. So because that's a real thing, we have to be careful with our words.
And I know, and I've seen like the definition when people put in, and I look for like pick me, and they had a definition, I believe, on Google, and it was like a woman who seeks validation from men. And so there a lot of people believe that, hey, that they seek validation not only from men but at the expense of other women, and that they're trashing other women just to make themselves look good, look good to men, I guess, or whatever. So it'd be interesting just to hear what you guys think about that. I see you with the thumbs down. I'm just saying what
I'm sorry. Just on that point, I try to have conversations on this app. Like, I see tweets and then I'll respond. But then there really is no pushback, because I think you can't really push back against common sense. So then it's like you're kind of looking for nonsense to respond to. And that seems a little silly.
And yeah, let's be honest, there's no shortage of BS on this app as well, too. So I've seen something, and I can't think of her name right now. She follows, oh my God, and matter of fact, Phil Scott from the African Diaspora, he had a video, a quick video, and he was talking about the lady, and is it Tahara Muhammad? She's on Twitter, and she was just basically, somebody was calling her a pick me, and she was saying, well, I am a pick me. Like, I've been married to my husband for 20 some odd years, so he picked me, and and we raised kids, and one of them is in college, and things of that nature as well too. Here's the thing that I'm saying: wouldn't every woman that's married be a pick me to a certain degree, because somebody picked her? Of course, you have to. Of course, now it's not one way. The woman has to accept the man picking her. She has to go ahead and say, "Okay, well, yeah, I'll allow you to pick me." But wouldn't every woman who has a husband be a pick me to a certain degree, because a man sees her, he's interested, he pursues, and then he, with that woman's blessing, she go ahead and she says, well, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I think you are a suitable mate. I'll be with you. So to a certain degree, just the way I see it, I would think that most women, or all women that's in a relationship, that's married especially, would be a pick me, because, hey, there was a man that pursued you, went after you, saw that you were the person for him. And of course, you have to give the okay. I mean, this ain't the Middle Ages in Europe, where you hitting them upside the head with a club, and you pulling them out, dragging them by the hair. So yeah, the woman has to say, you know what? Yeah, dude, I think you'll suffice. You'll do. So wouldn't they all be a pick me? Wouldn't every woman be a pick me to a certain degree? Isla, you go ahead. I'm glad to hear from you.
Hi, everybody. Greetings to space. Thank you for having me up here, Newstoter. I think that women be lying to themselves. Every woman wants to be a pick-me. Now, you might not want to say it in those words, but that's what we want to be. I think that to try to put something negative on that is just a lie. It's not a negative thing. Every woman wants to be picked. every single woman. I don't care what she says, how she tries to deny it. She wants to be picked.
Agreed. They the passovers they feel some kind of way about not being chosen, and like I agree with you. Every woman who's already been chosen is a pick me, but right now, what has happened is we're living in the age of feminism, and Black women took that struggle on as part of their struggle or our struggle, and it was never anything that was for us. So you've got these women who, like me and Isla, who are saying we need to kind of go away from feminism and all of that. We wanted equality stuff and get back to the basics, gender roles. I mean, very basic things. Because when you start saying that we're equal, well, what makes you special goes away. We are women and we can birth children, we can feed them. You're a man and you can make it all happen. But you've got Katanji saying that she doesn't know what a woman is. And all of that stuff is backwards. So, like, once you start saying common sense stuff, that's when the passed over start feeling some kind of way.
The Passover, I like it. So that's another phrase too. So the Passover, the ones that basically get nobody wants, basically. They're just like, hey, we looking past you guys, basically.
Shout out to Taisha Essex. I stole that term from her. I mean, I don't know if other people use it, but it seems appropriate.
All righty. Isla, go ahead. And what's up, Aunt Lama? Get to you after Isla.
Yeah, I wanted to speak to just what Eve was saying, kind of piggyback off of that. We're not equal. I hate to hear that term, that we're equal, and so I should have the same authority you have. There's this thing called nature that we have overlooked and have been conditioned and trained and socially engineered to overlook. I mean, you can look at the chaos, and I don't even have to go down the list of the madness that's happening in society right now. But, I don't have the muscle mass that you have, right? So just that within itself that within itself just proves that we're not equal, right? That doesn't mean that we don't have value. It's just that we're just not created the same. And men tend to handle things that we just completely go off of emotion. And I think that goes back to nature. You were designed to play a specific role in the unit of the family, as we were designed to play a specific role in the unit of the family. And when you start to cross those things, that's when the destruction comes. And I always link everything back to white supremacy racism when it comes to everything that plagues us, and every known problem in the known universe. It comes from this whole system of white supremacy racism, and the intent and the purpose of splitting and separating us, right, and pitting us against each other, and that whole nonsense of elevating the woman above the man. I mean, they do it in everything that, in all areas of people activity. They do it in politics. You see all these Black women elevated and celebrated, the whole Black girl magic nonsense. So again, it goes back to the order of things. And when we get back to that, that's when things will start to progress for us. And I wholeheartedly believe that in order for us to truly be empowered as a people, we have to get back to the fundamental thing of the family. Everything comes from that unit. If you want to build wealth, if you want to change the circumstances in which we live in, we have to start there. That's base, that's home.
All right. Thank you, Isla. Thank you. Let me go ahead and I'm going to get the Aunt Lie, and I'm going to get the Black Pressure. Hey, DJ, Professor, hold it down for me for 1 second.
Go ahead, bro. Hey, all out. Yeah, sandwich right.
Yes. Peace, Black Power, and reparations. Hi, everybody in the room. I'm good. Please forgive me because I just want to understand what a pick-me is, because I just got in. I'm listening to the conversation. I'm not sure if they're saying it's a negative or a positive. And is it a woman that wanted to be picked by a mate? I thought it was something derogatory. just explain it in layman terms for like the short yellow bus people. Thank you.
One of the honorary calls want to break it down again. You go back to the room. Be on time, girls. 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. But go
My
ahead.
baby got a Presidential of Excellence Award. My baby got a 4.0. My bad.
Yeah, congratulations.
Go ahead, Just Steve or Isla, if y'all want to break it down to the sister again. Y'all got the
I
mic.
got you. All right, so essentially that's a good question because we didn't really dive here. But a pick-me is a negative term. And if you like urbandictionary.com it would say something along the lines of willing to do anything for male approval. But to that point, they're saying that anything would be that you would throw other women under the bus. You would, you give them all your money. Like you would just do anything to get this male approval. And I think that that's an exaggeration. I think that because it's an exaggeration, I like play on words. I like double meanings, and I like to make people think. So what is so wrong about wanting male approval? Is it because you don't want to do the work to get the male approval? Is it because you're not seeking male approval? Like, there's some questions that a woman would need to be asking herself if she's not trying to go with nature, like what Isla was talking about. Like, biology is real. All of us want to be chosen by somebody. I mean, whoever you're into, that's who you want to be chosen by. And then from there, if you're saying you're not into anybody, then I think that there's a problem and you might need to go talk to somebody. But if we're not even having these thoughts, then we're not asking these questions. We're not making any steps to fix ourselves. So we use pick me because it's just a play on words. And then you start asking questions like, what's so wrong about wanting to be picked by a man? And then maybe you're in the dusties or something. I don't know. That might be a problem. You might not want to be a pick-me if that's the kind of guy you're into. But I think that if you learn better, you do better. So you start elevating yourself, and then your circle elevates, and then you find the person who's supposed to choose you. I hope that answered your question.
Okay, I just came back, so I missed. Go ahead, Aunt Lie, because I just came back. I know Black Pressure had his hand. Black Pressure, you talked already too? That quick?
No, it's my turn.
Oh, go ahead, Aunt Lie. You want to go ahead and finish? Go ahead, Aunt Lie.
Okay. So a pick-me is a negative term for a person who would do anything to get chosen. Like you could cheat, we could be an open relationship and stuff like that. And you got the podcast pick-me because you're trying to play around with the word and try to get back to the natural order of things?
I mean, basically, pick-me is supposed to be a negative term, but why does it have to be negative? I mean, outside of just the grammar of it all, you should be chosen, not picked. That's just, I personally, as an English teacher, I have an issue with that. But, I mean, I don't really see an issue there. Why would you want to not seek male approval unless something's wrong? And if something's wrong, you need to go get some help. And it doesn't mean you're supposed to be out here being a hoe. It means that your body is working and you need to be doing something to do what you're supposed to do. Does that help?
Damn, I feel bad about this, JSD, because this whole time, I thought this whole pick-me term or pick-me thing was like this thing they do in the grocery store where they have you to do like pick 5 for pick-me or something like that. That's what I thought it was. Damn,
I thought it was the women who sleep with the slave master, and he would get, how he would sleep with the slave that he wanted, and they would call it a pick-me because some of the pick-me's would like that. That's what I'm saying. I really don't know. So that's what I thought a pick-me was. Because
hey, everybody got different terms out here nowadays.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't want to be out with the slave master pick-me's.
No,
I'm just trying to understand it. So I could comment on it, but I'm slow today because he messed me up with talking about Babyface this morning. But I'm gonna get it together.
I need a Baker winning that fight.
I can't go through another match.
All right, real quick, y'all. Real quick, Lie. That's all you want to ask. Lie. Did you?
Yes, I'm gonna let other people talk and try to get, because I know they said something about feminism, so I'm gonna just let other people talk because I'm kind of like a virgin in this area.
Okay.
Or ignorant, I don't know. So I'm gonna just land my plane.
All right.
When a woman's fed up, no matter how you feel.
All right. Go ahead, Ela.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on just that before. It really irritates me that just the general, whatever way they've defined pick me, right? The negative part of it. Because, again, back when if you think about it, all women want to be picked or chosen. Every last woman, okay, you might not want to say it out loud, but you do little things to make sure that you get chosen or you grab the attention of someone that you're seeking or that you are interested in. So whether we want to admit it or we don't want to admit it, and this is not directed towards Aunt Lai at all, this is just in general, because I've heard that before. Every woman wants to be picked. And again, I don't see that there should be a problem with that. Aren't we supposed to be seeking a mate? If you don't want to, that's fine. Then you're not a pick me. You don't want to be picked. But if you are, then you want to be picked. So, and here's another thing in this whole arena with women are extremely and highly competitive when it comes to one another, right? And why? Because they want to be picked. So I'll stop there, and I'm sorry for interrupting. I'll raise my hand next time, and you can go ahead to the next speakers, but I just wanted to comment on that before we transition to another topic.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. Let me go ahead and get to Black Pressure. Black Pressure, you were next. Go ahead, Black Pressure.
Hey, what up, Black fam? Like always, what up, Ray, DJ, Professor, what up?
What up?
So, I want to start out by saying the two sisters that spoke, let me get it right, Just Eve and Isla.
Yeah.
I think. Where are these type of Black women at? Are you guys close to Houston? In the Houston area?
Y'all got a cousin for DJ? Let me know.
Because I never, ever meet Black women that speak like this, I swear. So, let me start off by saying this.
Hey, that's Empress right there, Black Pressure. Don't you see chop liver?
Got you. My phone is littered. And when I say littered, I mean the textbook definition. My phone is littered with Black women. And I keep saying that because I only talk to Black women. I don't talk to anybody but Black women. But my phone is littered with Black women who I have permanently banished to oblivion because, and I've said this before, I think I coined the phrase, they adhere to the ethos and the ideology that don't no nigga tell me what to do. And I want to say I apologize for not remembering who spoke, who said it, but someone evoked nature. And I brought that up before when, I have the fortune to speak to Black women. And I tell them, I was like, look, if you observe nature, you talk about from human beings down to the animal kingdom, right? There are absolutes in nature. And if you look at the female species, like I say, from human beings to animals, the male species cannot take a child and put it to his breast and nurture it because there are absolutes in nature. That is for the female species to do, right? Like I've said before, you could look at an ant pile, and I say that because I live in South Texas. You can look at an ant pile, you can look at a beehive, a hornet's nest, a pride of lions, whatever you want to look at. In all those social, I guess I would say, societies, there's an authority figure, right? If you look in the business world, there's an authority figure. You look at McDonald's. The man mopping the floor doesn't tell the CEO what to do. It's the opposite. And it's sad to me that I meet so many Black women that when you bring the subject up, all those rules are suspended when it comes to Black women. Once again, it's, don't no nigga tell me what to do. And it's really refreshing to hear these sisters speak like this. And I'll mute up and listen.
All right. Thank you, Black Pressure. Let me go ahead and get to Ray. Ray, go ahead and unmute your mic.
No, go ahead and pass, bro. I'm sorry. I know my hand was up.
Oh, okay. I'll come back. If you want to speak, then just go ahead and put your hand back up. FBA Empress, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Newstoter. Peace out to DJ. Hey, Professor. Ladies, what's going on?
Hey there, Empress.
Hey. So I came in because of Aunt Lai, right? Because I think that maybe the definition and establishment of what a pick me is, maybe a good start for the conversation, right? I'm no expert, but from what I know and what I've experienced, how the term pick me is used in society is used as like a diss, right? It's supposed to be like some derogatory term to women who are just like submissive and cooperative, right? To me, I just brush that type of stuff off, right? You're upset with me because I actually want to be attracted to a man. Like, I'm going to look at what men want and listen to what they say and adjust myself accordingly because that's what I like. Because my other option is listening to you and doing the things that you want to do as an independent, strong woman. And ultimately, that means I'm just going to end up having brunch with you on Saturday and chilling with you, and we're going to be golden girls together. And that's literally what, you know what I mean? You're picked over. You see what I'm saying? And so, to Aunt La's point, it is a negative, but it's a negative coming from people that have no vision or view of family. They don't care to be a caregiver or part of a care unit. They don't care to sacrifice their lives for their family. The thought of putting their husband first is, I've heard the term slavery used with women. And to me, as a Black woman, I find it highly offensive. For you to try to equate being a cooperative, submissive woman with slavery, knowing exactly what slavery is and entails, it's a slap in the face. So I'll be a pick-me all day because that's better than being a pick-over. I have no problem being attracted to men and seeing what they like because I always have protection. Because these same women that don't agree with what a pick-me is or throw out this trope of pick-me for any woman, I swear, to just be like, hey, that guy's right. I swear that's all you got to say. Those women, they're lonely, they're single, they're bitter, and that's why they throw out these tropes. And I'm gonna go with DJ. Kevin Samuels was right about a lot of this stuff. It's really just a negative trope for people who want to take it that way. I don't like that. There's no dust off my back when I hear that term. I actually think it's an honor because I'd rather be a pick me than a pick over. This is about family dynamics. I agree that every day we're on this app and we are fighting for our lives, right, y'all? Every day. We need our reparations. We need our policies. You know, we need all of this stuff. But like when it comes to the family unit, somehow we drop the ball. We could be so pro-Black and so pro-empowerment, but yet we're not family. You know, a lot of these women that are the head of these organizations, I'm going to use Black Lives Matter, even though we know what happened to them, but you had a lot of LGBT, women forward, no men mentioned in the mission at all type stuff while they're walking literally over the bodies of our men. You know what I mean? A lot of women on the front line, just stuff out of nature, like Olive was saying, right? To me, that's not my place. I have no problem fighting this war, but I have a different lane. I'm a financial contributor. I make calls. I send emails. I have no problem with teaching our children. I don't think we should be on the front line. It's just a matter of nature and order. And if that makes me a pick-me, then so be it. And I hope that answers Aunt Li's question.
All right. Thank you, FBA Empress. DJ, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, so I just want to go back to the economics of what we were saying before, like, you know, the 50-50 situation, or, you know, if you want to be traditional and you a man, you got to pay 100% of the bills while the woman do, you know, majority of the housework, take care of the kids, all that other stuff. But when we look at today's society and we look at the economics, majority of all people don't make more than $50,000 a year. So when you got a lot of these, when you got a lot of Black women, and this is just the ones that's online, I'm gonna just keep it strictly that. Just online, folks, because that's the only way you hear this rhetoric. Is that, oh, well, he got to make $100,000 a year, 6 figures. You got to have this, that, and the third. But, like, you ain't got none of that. And I don't put your hands down. I just saying keeping it online. The ones you hear on YouTube and in these videos that be on these podcasts and all this other stuff. Like, well, hold up. No, none of us really make, or at least 80% in the Black community, we don't make more than $50K a year. Those statistics are true. You feel what I'm saying? So why would a lot of these women be online, the so-called, I guess, non-pick-me's, you feel what I'm saying that, hey, women, y'all should be looking for a man that make $100,000 plus a year, but the average Black person, aka the bus driver, Ebony K, don't make that. You know what I'm saying? Or even if they do, they ain't gonna never be home for you because they put it in these hours at work. So what's the situation with that, though?
May I speak? May I please jump in?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Okay, you're requiring that he makes $100K, but what value do you bring to the table to be entitled to $100K man? Right? That's where
I am the table. That's what y'all usually say.
No, that's ridiculous. You just no. What value do you bring that earns that kind of producer, right? And that goes back to the whole accountability thing and women feeling entitled. And okay, so I'm probably going to be, got daggers coming at my neck and stuff, but you don't want to cook. You don't know how to cook. You don't know how to clean, right?
You was right on both of those.
Yeah, you don't keep yourself up.
My bad. Go ahead. Unmute your mic.
Sorry, you want him to accept you just the way that you are, right? There's nothing that you have to absolutely bring, right? And you're demanding that he provides and protects you, but you bring absolutely you can't even help him to increase his wealth if he is making this kind of money. What are you doing, to have earned this? So that's the problem I have with when I hear women say stuff like, well, he's got to have this and he's got to have that. Well, what do you bring to the table, right? And what part are you going to play to add to his portfolio? You're a part of his portfolio, and you out here just any old kind of way. That bugs me. But anyway, I'll digress there because we can expound if you want to. But that's the gist of it.
Hey, Isla, do you want to move to Houston anytime soon?
Isla say she's taken probably so. Hey, let me go ahead and get to I see my man. I see my man Professor is up here. Professor, we're gonna go Professor Just Eve, FBA Empress, and we're gonna get to He Am I. So, Professor, go ahead and unmute your mic, man.
Yeah, thank you, there, brother. This is an interesting topic, man, and not something that I'm very familiar with. So it's good to hear the sisters in here talking about this, teaching us what we need to know. I'm just curious to know, because it sounds like to me such a great thing that women want to do what's necessary to get the man that they feel like they deserve. I don't see anything wrong with it. So I'm trying to understand why it's such a negative connotation on this term, pick me. I don't see it as being that from what I'm hearing, how you have explained it, Empress. I don't really see why it should be negative. I think it's a great thing.
All right. Appreciate that, Professor. Let me go ahead and get to Just Eve. Just Eve, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Everything Isla just said with regards to what value or how much femininity are you bringing to the situation or how much cooperation, you really need to put a dollar amount on it. I listened to this broadcast of the business. It's Jason Black channel, and he said what's under the hood. And then he literally said, you need to buy a full-length mirror, and you need to stand in front of it. He's talking to the ladies at this point, and he said, look at you. And it's funny, but it's not funny. Like, look at you. And then really, how much would you pay for that? And then from there, it's a lot of hurt feelings. And I can say that uncomfortable conversations, I don't know if y'all were in here earlier when I was telling you about uncomfortable conversations, but they make you move. They make you think. And you might not make the best move, but at least you are moving. Because being still is stagnation, and I don't want that for us. Stagnation is death. And because essentially the Pick Me podcast is kind of really broad, I mean, we joke about Pick Me because why is that negative? But we're really talking about, making sure that we are solid so that we can be the best choice. And we're in the fight for our reparations, that you can't come at that half-ass, and we're really close. So I think that if everybody's doing what they're supposed to do, then, we'll be where we need to be. So Pick Me, it's like the title, maybe I need to change it. I don't know. I just like it so much, but it's not really the focus per se. So when people tune into the conversations, I find that we have uncomfortable conversations. People think, people, give their thoughts about whatever it is. Tomorrow we'll be talking about originals and copies. So from there, I mean, maybe you'll have some thoughts about if you know what an original is and if you can tell a copy from the original. But conversations that make you think, making you think, I think, makes people move. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jess Eve. Up in the Jumbotron is a Newstoter YouTube channel. DJ, where's the YouTube channel at up in there at? You know, which one?
Should be the first on the far right. Excuse me.
First on the far right. So
that's Sister Just Eve's. Yes, make sure y'all come up, subscribe to Sister Just Eve's.
Yeah, subscribe to Sister Just Eve's YouTube channel too. Yeah, hers is the first on the right hand side. But in the meanwhile, till he finds that, guys, also for those that can support on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news curation media platform today in America. Once again, Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black news media curation platform today in America. We will be getting off of suspension come Sunday, guys. So Sunday, we will resume the daily bombarding of Black news. Right now, we can't do it on Twitter, but when we come back, I promise you, even though Sunday will probably be slow in the news cycle, we'll still deliver 20, 30 newsworthy articles that day. So it'll be back on popping Monday in full effect. We're suspended for 7 days right now. Luckily, we can do these spaces, but like I said, we will be back in full effect. Newstoter, once again, $Newstoter, Newstoter. For those that do not have Cash App, the PayPal and Venmo is up in the Jumbotron as well, too. DJ, what you said was a YouTube? What was a YouTube channel right in there?
On the top right hand side next to Just Eve's.
Okay.
The first two bumpers on the right hand side, y'all. The first two bumpers on the right.
Yeah, I can't tweet anything out, so I can't even put anything in the Jumbotron, guys. So it is what it is. But thank you, DJ, for putting that up in there. And for those that can support, if we're looking for anybody that can support at least $1 or $2 to the nice program and to the platform, not just the Twitter space, but to the actual Black media curation platform, please go ahead and do so. It will be greatly appreciated. Let me go ahead and get back to FBA Empress. FBA Empress, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, just real quick, Empress, the Cash App is the third bubble from the left-hand side, third bubble from the left. There you go.
And let me give a shout out to my girl, Rerod, real quick. Rerod, thank you, sister, for your contribution. Let me go ahead and get the FBA Empress.
Thank you again. So really fast, Eve, do not change the title. Pick Me is perfect. I like it because a lot of times if y'all new to Eve's space, right, she not only talks about power dynamics, but sometimes she talks about political issues, like family issues. And I think that's a great thing, right? Because when you hear this trope of pick me, it has this weird negative connotation. It's like, oh, we're just bird brains that do what men want to do. Like, we don't have intelligent thoughts. Like, we can't have a conversation about what's important to us and our people. So I love that. Eve is very intelligent. Isla's very intelligent. These ladies have a lot of points to bring to the table, and it ain't must, right? It's not independent women talk, right? It's real things that are substantial to our families, and they have to do with all kinds of subjects. So never change it, please. But I wanted to just piggyback or actually just answer DJ's question, right? So he asked about like the financial thing, how like these women and they're like, oh, I need a man that makes all these figures and all this stuff. To me, it's a lack of education and everything that Isla was saying, right? Like, what as a woman are you bringing, right? That's going to be tangible to this man. He don't care about your degree or how much money you make, but are you a person that understands legacy? Like, do you care about legacy? Are you financially respectful? See, we know that, DJ. These women that want a man with six figures, they're delusional, right? But I can live off $60,000. If you're taking care of yourself, you got your own house, you got your own thing, I should literally be coming there to add to you, right? So if you're a single man, you make this amount of money, you're probably eating out every day. Well, I'll bring my cooking skills to you. I'll save you some money there. You don't have to go out and buy all these things. Take your clothes to the cleaners. My job is to be financially respectful to you. I think I might make a space about that because I don't think we understand it. I don't think a lot of men have any issues with taking care of a woman, but I think in modern times the women are like,
well, I need to have 2 vacations, and I need to have this car and this thing and this that. But I'm like, if you got a man that puts you in a neighborhood where, like where I live at, everything around me is within a mile. Safeway, schools, the mall. So if I have a child and I'm homeschooling or whatever the situation is, hopefully I'm homeschooling my husband, I can walk everywhere I need to. Not only do I get my exercise, I can look great, I can see what's going on in my neighborhood, and we just need one car. Learning financial respect is a big part of a wife's duty. Like, you're not supposed to be there to be a burden to this man. So when Kevin Samuels was talking about these things, the issue was that these women were delusional. They wanted to have, like, oh, we have 2 cars, and I'm driving a BMW, you got a Lexus, and we go on a vacation 3 times a year, we got 325. Just these, delusions of grandeur, when really being financially respectful is an asset to your husband. You shouldn't be asking for anything that he can't afford. I am of the notion that I'll take a coffee date or ice cream date. I don't want to pay for anything. So if all you can afford is a coffee and ice cream date, I'm with that. I live in DC. We can walk around, we can go to museums, they all free. Well, we have ice cream and get to know each other, because isn't that the point, to get to know each other? It's about motive and intention. And when family is on your brain, when it's ingrained in you, you have different motives and different intentions. And I guess that's the difference between a so-called quote-unquote modern woman and a traditional woman or
Go on, close the space. Newstoter, FBA Empress did I think again. Shout out to the list.
All right, FBA Empress. Let me get to he am I. He am I. How you doing tonight?
Hey, how's it going, Newstoter? Greetings to the host.
What's up?
Really, man, at this point, I don't really have much to say, because these ladies actually answered it quite well. I deal with Empress, so I know how she gets down. But I did want to say the one thing about words. People just like flipping words just to say, oh, it offends me. I have children. I want my children to obey. My woman wants the children to obey. But all of a sudden, when it becomes this demographic of man and woman, now it's, oh, I can't obey you. That don't make sense. That just doesn't make sense. So all of a sudden now, everything's obey until it comes to a man saying, well, baby, you need to listen to me. No, I don't have to listen to you. Then we can't have a family. And this is basically an attack on the traditional family, specifically the black family. And I'm going to say one more thing about the pick-me thing. Again, people use words to just try to demoralize people. If I was any woman that was looking for a man and someone said, well, you're a pick-me, well, hell yeah, I'm a pick. Oh, this is recorded. Yes, I'm a yes, I'm a pick-me. I want a man who's going to protect me. I want a man who's going to love me. I want a man who's going to provide for me. And I want a man to be there for me. What the hell is wrong with that? What the hell is wrong with that? Otherwise, I get what you're getting. A bunch of crap and trash, then I'm thrown to the side. I don't want that. So I don't have a problem with women saying, I want to be a pick-me. Of course, why would you not? I want to be treated as a queen in my house. And I just wanted to ask one more thing, Newstoter, because you brought up the family with your parents. My grandparents were together until they both passed for years. My grandfather worked. When he came home, he gave his check to his wife. And she ran the housely duties. So I'm not really understanding a lot of the things that people are saying, because then I can go to my mother and my father, who both work, and they contributed to the household together. So again, it really doesn't matter how you slice it up. There's the section of people who just want to say women are in charge, specifically black. This is not happening in other cultures. This is basically happening with us. For some odd reason, they want this to happen with us, where everybody else, they don't even have this problem, they don't have this conversation, because it doesn't work. And they know it don't work. And thank you, Newstoter, and I'll close my phone, land my plane, or whatever the word is.
All right. Thank you, here am I. And to add to what you were saying, like I was saying earlier with my parents and, my mom doing all this stuff around the house, and, my dad.
That's what's up.
Oh, real quick. Let me because I thought I was talking when I had the actual muted, but to get to what he am I was saying, that you're right, he am I, like my dad, of course he was the head of the household, but he brought his check home. My mom, she was the one that paid all the bills and this and that or whatever. So, anything that had to be paid or taken care of, let's be for real. whether the man's the head of the household, the woman's actually running the actual the actual day to day operations in the house. Are we gonna be for real? My mom ran the day to day operations. Of course, my dad, like I said, he came home. His whether he was working overtime or late night, I don't care. I used to have to go with her to pick him up from the port at like 10:30, 11 o'clock when I was in middle school. And even though she cooked for us earlier, she would cook him a whole nother meal when he got home. So it was like, yeah, you know, she did the washing, the laundry, the cleaning, and all that other stuff or whatever. And like I say, she'll let it be known. Like a lot of women, she'll let it be known. Oh, well, I ain't the maid around here, but yet you still doing it. So nonetheless, you was still doing it. And like you said, he brought that check home, and I doubt this dude, saw any money out of that check because it went to pay the bills or whatever. Like she took it and she paid whatever had to be paid or whatever. And that's just the way it was in the household like that I grew up in. She paid, she took care of it. She was the general manager in the house. He might have been the owner, so to speak, but she was a GM. She made all the decisions and this and that or whatever. She handled all those things with the kids going to school and everything like that. She was the one that took us shopping. Hell, I'm gonna be real about it. My dad didn't even buy his own damn clothes. She knew this man's waist and his length and everything else. He didn't even go to the damn store and buy his own clothes, if we're going to be real about it. I'm just being honest. My dad never went to damn... Yeah, like he never went to the store. He never went to the store and bought his own clothes. I mean, like he never went to the store and bought his own clothes. So yeah. And like after my mom passed away a few months ago, like, me and my sister, we've had to go ahead and take on a role that, he's not used to doing. Like he's not used to doing a lot of things that she handled and stuff like that. So yeah, we can, let's be for real. Like, even though people say that the woman, they want a woman submissive and this and that or whatever, she handles a lot of operations. People think that, when they talk about homemakers or whatever, and like I say, she worked or whatever, so she still did that, but she still worked and still was a home maker as well too, you might as well say. So, she did what she had to do and this and that or whatever, but at the same time, she gave him his respect. He gave her respect, and, it was what it was. Nothing's perfect. Definitely nothing's perfect, but, from the era that they came with, that was kind of expected. Let me go ahead and get to Aunt Lie, I believe. Aunt Lie. Then we got you, Ela, and then we got you, Dana.
Peace, Black Power, and reparations. I want to say thank you so much for the definition. Empress, FBA Empress, because I understand now. Like I said, I got in late and it was kind of like all over the place. So I appreciate that. And I guess I'm a pick me then. Because like Newstoter was just saying, the stuff that his mom did for his father, that's what I do for my husband. And truth be told, even though I don't want y'all to tell him this, like my husband know he's a provider, he know he a good man, he get on my nerves, so don't tell him that. But so I guess that is it. But the thing that I want to say is, as a person who, and I don't know who's to blame for this, but the whole independent woman thing, the whole independent woman fiasco, I honestly believe that's something that's put on women because they don't teach women to be housewives or being a mother or taking care of their kids anymore. And that is something, as a person who's an independent woman who got the degrees, who went to, I moved 16 hours away to go further my education. I didn't really want to have kids. I wanted to be a businesswoman and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, being a housewife or being a mother, you are literally birthed in society. You are raised in society. And that's, to me, the breakdown of the family. When you don't have the mothers in the home because they're out there working, like you said, they can't even cook, can't even do anything. My husband had to teach me to cook. Don't tell him I said that. I didn't know how to cook. I was horrible in my wanting to be independent woman days. But thank God I got woken up and I realized what's the importance. And at the end of the day, when it does come to, I think the whole conspiracy of women going to work just so the government can understand that they can get a tax base from men and women, which is the reason why they force women in the workplace and things like that. But that's where the breakdown of the family. The most crimes are committed between 2 and 6, where school is let out for when parents get home and it's dinner time. And that is not done by accident, it's done on purpose. So I do think it's important to teach the girls that it's okay to be a housewife. There's nothing wrong with it. When I got fired from my job, baby, this housewife life is what? I tell my husband all the time, like, don't threaten me with a good time now. I would have been making $70,000 a year if I was still at work. But baby, this housewife, this is what? This is priceless. I wouldn't give it up for nothing in the world. I wouldn't give it up for nothing in the world. What you want to eat for dinner, Daddy? You want steak and potatoes? What you need? You want me to do some laundry? I'd rather be a housewife than going in the business world, dealing with this racist system that Black women be going through any day. And I'll land my plane.
All right.
Can I just say something really fast? That's okay, Newstoter.
Yeah, it was your turn anyways. Go ahead.
Well, I don't think so. I think Dana might have been, or Isla was performing, but I just really, really quickly. It affects our health. All right, we are living in this system of white supremacy. It's stressful anyway, right? Women, we do not handle work like men. It is nature. Isla said this, biology, right? Just like Aunt Lai said, even if you thought that you wanted to be this career woman, you don't even realize how much special, how much better, how much of an actual compliment you could be to your family when you are at home. You and your feminine, so you ain't got to clock in for work. When you don't feel good, you get to stay home, and you got somebody that's there that cares about your well-being. If you left your job today, they just replace you. There's nothing, and we think that there's benefits at the job, but what are the benefits of being home with your children? They're not safe in these schools. They don't feed them well. We know they're not educating them right. If it's not a mass shooter there or a bomb threat there, like, why are we sending our children literally into combat? And for the ladies that think you can't homeschool, this is what a time to be alive. There's so many resources you can have. You can read, you can write. Hell, y'all can learn the subject together. Like, I'm just saying, like, you are a much better asset by being at home. And again, I'm going to say being financially respectful. And I say that to the gentleman because I know that you think that it's this burden. It's 2023. I can't take care of some woman that's not working. But if she's a good woman, she's always trying to find ways to save you money because your money is for the family. And if you're giving her your check and she's managing it well and she's financially respectful, the benefits of her being home are priceless. I just wanted to throw that out there. Shout out to Aunt Lai. Girl, congratulations.
All right.
Before you send that congratulations, is that third wheel option still available for the hubby online?
Yeah, because I'm going through it emotionally. So I feel bad. That's a different story, but it's because I feel bad.
Disregard everything she just said, ladies.
All right. Let me go ahead and get to Ela. Ela, go ahead and unmute your mic. Isla. I'm sorry, Isla. I'm sorry.
I had to spell my name out phonetically because, listen, I've dealt with this since I was a child. It's ILA, but everybody wants to call it, say, Ila. But they never messed up my brother, who is IAN. They call him, right? But anyway, I want to just speak to the point of being financially respectful. I think it's criminal for a woman to be neglectful when it comes to her husband or her man's resources. Brothers, if your woman is not thinking about legacy, generational wealth, or how they can help you to maximize your income and or what do they call it? The compound interest thing. Multiply it, go running the other way. If she's just absorbing and she's just consuming all your resources, that's not someone you want to pick to raise your family or to be, your wife or your partner in life, because that's just a drain. And to me, I think it's criminal for women to be financially irresponsible with their man's resources. There was one other point Aunt Lyde made. About working outside of the home. It's mentally exhausting. It's emotionally exhausting. It's physically exhausting for women to have to operate in their masculine energy. I mean, like 24 hours a day. And it is hard for us to turn that off when we've been out there in the workforce having to compete and defend because we're at war out there, then come home and then turn that off, right? We get resentful. Empress brought up the health issues. We start gaining weight. It's so much easier and it's so much more relaxing to allow the men to do what they naturally do. Now, does that mean that women don't contribute or women don't work? No. And in this day and age, you can get creative. I work at home. I have my own business and I work at home. I can take vacation when I want. I can take off. I can rearrange how I'm going to take clients. Whatever it is I want to do, I'm not beholden to this structure out here where people, have basically command over my life. You got to be here on time. You got to deal with the microaggressions. You got to deal with the racism. It's just too much. And I'm not built for it. I mean, and I don't think most women are. I think we have lied to ourselves and said that we are, right? And we do all these unnatural things to fit and to operate in the society in that way. But that's just not how we're designed. And that's for a reason. But anyway, I'll land there and let Miss Dana speak.
All right. Thank you, sister. Let me go ahead and get to Dana. Dana, what's up?
Hey, Newstoter. It's a cute conversation. It's a break. Sorry, it's a break from the political and black talk.
Yeah, we got to change it up sometimes. Dana.
It's light tonight, which is good because I just did 4 hours, honey, with the judge, and that was like.
It was good. It was a great space too, Dana.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I just didn't come up and speak, but I was about to throw that white hand up for you. I was gonna do it.
Yeah, so it's like, and I remember you was mentioning this space yesterday, so it's fun. To me, this is fun conversation, because I just jumped in and you've been going on for an hour, and the little bit of definition that they're trying to pass off as pick-me, that's not what a pick-me is. A pick-me, a housewife doesn't mean you're a pick-me. I don't know where y'all getting that from. And Shira 7, she popularized the term pick-me and Barbara the Builder. And she's been on YouTube for over 7 years. And I do follow her. I do enjoy her content. And a lot of her stuff is very realistic. She's a housewife. But just because you're a housewife doesn't make you a pick-me. That's the opposite of a pick-me. The pick-me is, pick me. I'll do anything you need me to do as long as you pick me. Whether you're single, whether, if you end up marrying someone or whether you're dating, it doesn't matter. That means you want that man to pick you and you're willing to do anything, pay half the rent, pay for the trips, all that. And my thing is, if you are paying for a date, going Dutch, or paying for the gratuity, yes, you are a pick-me. If you are coming out of pocket for a man, you are a pick-me. Now, if you already established a long-term relationship and this man has always provided for you, and then you choose to treat him here and there, that's one thing. But being a housewife is not a pick-me. That is the opposite. There are women who work, but her money is her money, and her man pays all the bills. That's not a pick-me because she chooses to work. So my son, for instance, I have a son. He's never going to allow a woman he's with, whether it's someone, a partner or his wife, to pay bills, because he's never going to be in that position to where she feels as though she can say, get out the house. You can't tell him to get out the house if he's paying 80% or 100%. And I have the 80-20 rule. The most I will contribute is up to 20%, and that is the max. Because as a man, you need to be the provider, the protector, all that stuff. That's part of being a man, is to financially provide. That's one of the elements, and that's the main element. So I'm not your roommate. I'm not your roommate. I'm never going to pay half. I'm never going to go over 20%. And women who do that are the pick-me's. And I don't know why you romanticizing that definition. If you choose to have pick-me as your definition, that's fine. But the term pick-me is not what I'm hearing you describe tonight. It has nothing to do with reparations. It has nothing to do with the Black movement. White women, because I know the guy said this is mainly Black women. No, all women are like this. All women, whether you're white, Asian, it don't matter. Some are pick-me's, some are not. Especially white women, you got to have some money. That's why they get married, because of money, legacy, all that. So don't just put it on a Black woman thing. It's all women right now. And the dating scene right now is kind of messed up because everybody is selfish, men and women. People do need to kind of revert back to traditional values. But being a pick-me is not, a good mother and a housewife. It's kind of the opposite. Women who are dating millionaires, a lot of them are pick-me's because they were willing to do and conform themselves to whatever he wanted her to be. And a lot of times that's not in a positive light. So it was like, what are you willing to sacrifice in order for that man to pick you? And he may say, you're going to have to financially contribute. But any woman coming out of pocket, opening up her wallet to financially help a man, you automatically pick me. Or the Barbara building. But I'll yield for now.
Boom. Dana that came in and flipped the entire room. Oh, that was okay, Dana.
Yeah, no, I don't. And let me just
Hey,
say this,
I like how you said an 80-20 rule, though. That was okay.
Yeah, no, because why would I take away your manhood? But let me just say this, because even with, what's that chick that says she went and dated a bus driver? No, I will date the bus driver because I'm pretty sure if he's a seasoned bus driver, right? And I don't just look at income, because that is the thing with a lot of women. They were sounding like birds, 6 figures, blah, blah, blah. You got to look at the overall, how much is that man worth? What is his assets? Because he could make 60, but if you make 60,000, you can't live off of that in a nice area and send your kids to a nice school and be a stay-at-home mom. Now, if he makes 60K, but he has some real estate investment somewhere, then you could do that. So you got to look at the overall assets of a man. How much is he worth? His income and assets, how much does that equal out to? Because if you just living off your paycheck, no, baby, ain't nothing we can do over here.
Ain't nothing going on but the rent. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. I like that. Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and get the professor, then I'm gonna get to Just
I'm
Eve.
sorry. Is it possible if I could just respond to Dana before?
Oh yeah. Because I know you said you got to get ready to go soon. So go ahead, Just Eve.
Dana, that's the whole. I mean, taking something that's negative and then flipping it to what I wanted. That's how I define power. And I'm taking everything that I want to take from the people who are doing these things to us, because I think these are just my thoughts. Just you can agree or not agree, but I think we're supposed to be using our whole self to defeat white supremacy. And you were saying that this is like a cute conversation, and I think it's just because maybe you weren't here at the beginning of the conversation, or maybe you just didn't really understand what I was saying about my podcast with regards to what Pick Me is. All women, like Isla was saying, want to be chosen by somebody. Like, I mean, I don't know who you would define. I mean, I guess your husband is who you wanted to be chosen by, and every woman who's already married has already been chosen by that man, but she had to follow his program. She had to do something to establish that she was the one that he was going to share his resources with. And it doesn't necessarily mean that all pygmies or all wives are married per se. You've got situations where the people have been together for whatever amount of time, but they're doing what they need to do. Businesses are ensuing, and the Black family is getting stronger. So everything that we talk about on the Pick Me podcast is Black first. It's foundational Black American related. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. I know about the white women and how they define things, but I say F their definitions. I don't subscribe to their thinking. They are mentally unstable. Like, we really shouldn't be listening to them about anything. And then there's words. Words have meaning. Words have power. How you use them and how you define them, all of that stuff matters. So I hear you, but I hope you understand and can appreciate why I'm doing it this way.
No, now, because like I said, I just came in an hour in. I know what pick me means, but if you're taking that term and you're flipping it into something else, more power to you. That's fine. So, like I said, whatever it means for you and how you want to talk about it, you have every right to do that.
You would be a pick me, though, Dana. Like,
what?
You would be a pick me. You've been chosen. You have to do something.
No. That's the difference. That's the difference. No, I don't look at it.
You didn't do anything to show your man that you would want for him. Like,
no, see,
came out of bigger.
Right. So this is the thing. Let me answer your question. No, I'm not married. I've never been married. I'm not really into the whole marriage thing. However, whether if I'm married or if I'm in a relationship, it's not like he chose me and then it was what it was. He offered, he gave me an offer, and I either accepted or denied. It's a two-way street. A man just can't point to a woman and say, okay, I pick you and I'm just going to follow. I have to be into him as well. Do you meet my standards? Not just me meeting your standards.
But I comment right there real quick on that one.
Hold on real quick, DJ, because Just Eve is getting ready to leave in a second, so let her go ahead.
I'm sorry. But just to piggyback off what you just said, Dana, goes back to, I guess, DJ, are you the co-host? You were asking about, 50-50, and most Black America is not making six figures like that. And then when you start to look at who is making the money, it's really unfair because, people are saying that they want this type of lifestyle, but they're not doing anything to show that they can afford this type of lifestyle. Like Empress was talking about earlier, what are you doing to make his life easier? Like, if he likes to eat out, can you cook? Do you want to cook? Do you know about vegetables? Because a lot of us are fat, and that's like, it's like the ultimate treason. Like, you're killing your family if you don't know how to cook. So, like, it's very big what I feel like we're doing with regards to making sure conversations are being held in a way that we're moving. And again, everybody's not gonna move the same way. And I thought you said you were married. So I missed.
No. I didn't know. Everybody else said they were married. I'm not married. I was never married. But whether I'm married or not, if I have a partner or a husband, you do make valid points. Of course, especially if he wants a home cooked meal, if he's into that, that is something that he has to convey to his woman, his standards as well. See, everybody plays a part. So, but the only thing I'm saying is, if you want to be with a man and he prefers you to cook and he prefers you to cook healthy meals, okay, well then make sure you have money so that you can afford to give me money to pay for the healthy food to go purchase, because I'm not paying for no food.
Absolutely.
I'll cook it, but you want to open up that wallet.
Part. Yes, I agree with that.
See, my thing is,
able to afford this. But Dana, what are you doing to show him that you are worth all the trouble? Because if he's gonna go work until he dies, like the stresses that white supremacy puts on us as a people and him as a man, it's a lot. But if he's gonna go out there and get it, what are you doing to make things right? I mean, at least as comfortable as you can make it at home. So,
well, I'm doing the things that he found attractive in the first place. See, I'm being me, and that's what attracted him to me. And men, it just so happened, men that I date, they don't fall into that mental trap of white supremacy got their foot on my neck. So again, if a man is interested in me, I'm being me. I'm not putting on no fake persona, because a lot of women do, whether they pick me or not. Women put on that mask if there's a certain man that they want, and then eventually that mask come down. But the fact is that I'm me. That's why he's with me. That's what I'm doing. And if he feels as though that I'm stressing him out as a man, you should know the type of woman you want. See, that's the man he has to understand. A lot of men don't even know what they want. So how you want to approach me and expect for me to be compliant with you when you don't even know what you want?
All righty. Just Eve, you want to say something real quick? I know you.
I do. Dana, this is no shade to you at all. But if you want to be single, then cool. But if you don't want to be single, then you might need to do stuff to attract the type of dudes you want to attract. I hear what you're saying, like all the dudes that you get with are already into you. But if you're not with that type of dude right now, and I personally think that Black women are not supposed to be single. Like, we're not supposed to be out here fighting on our own. Like, that is not the way. So with that in mind,
who said I was alone?
No,
don't assume my situation. Yeah, I'm speaking in general. So
that makes...
I didn't say I was married, and my thing about marriage, I'm not into marriage. That's what I said. So don't assume that I'm out here struggling, because I would never struggle. And it's because I can make my own money, But any person who I'm with, I'm not going to struggle because I'm going to make sure that he want to provide. And I don't have to be married to him for him to provide.
And that's cool. But I'm just saying, in general, since it's not necessarily talking about you, but people might have considered the thought that, since you're against marriage and you weren't necessarily claiming your man, I think that's part of being a pick-me too. You're very proud of your situation. So everybody would
I'm not against marriage. I said it wasn't for me.
I understand.
And that's part of being a grown woman, knowing what's for you and having standards. And I expect any man that I'm dealing with, he has standards and he knows what he wants and what he does not want, and he's transparent with that.
I don't disagree with that. I only am saying.
May I ask how old you are?
Old enough.
Over 30?
Does it matter?
Yes.
Why?
Because it says a lot about somebody's experience. So I'm just, if you don't want to answer it, fine. But like I said, may I ask, if you want to decline, you have every right to.
Understood. I have experience. I have 5 beautiful children enrolled in private black school. I have a few businesses.
I just want to know your age. I don't need to know your life history, but.
Again.etsy.com if you want to check out my.
No, that's okay. No, that's the thing. I just asked that one question. If you don't want to give your age, okay, that's fine.
All right, ladies.
Okay. I was about to say, may I ask this question? And this is for all you ladies. So that's why I want to get this question out for you, Dana, Eve, Just Eve, Isla, and whoever else. We hear this term pick me girl or pick me women. Is there also a reference to terms for a man? Is there like the pick me man? So can we say the same in reference to men?
That's a high value more.
Hell yeah, but that's for
say
another
that's
space, honey.
I don't know. Yeah, I would say that's a different space. But I would say that's a simp or a simp enforcer, somebody that will like just bow at the feet of women. That type of man, he doesn't get respected. I don't care even if he gets a masculine woman, because that would make sense, right? Opposites attract. At some point, she's not going to respect him. She'll probably cheat on him with a man that won't tolerate disrespect or bad behavior. Just want to say that.
All righty.
All right, man. That's right. I like how you broke that down.
Sister Rera was up here, but I guess she dropped now. So Rera, if you get a chance and you want to come back up here, definitely come back up here, guys. Like I say, for those that can support tonight, Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest black-owned, black curation platform today in America. Just Eve, whenever you're gonna go, just let me know, sister. Like I say, I appreciate you coming in and this conversation.
Dana got me thinking about all of these different things, and I think that what matters is what we're doing. Like, it doesn't necessarily matter how old I am with regards to what's my portfolio. Like, what have I done? And then from there, you can get to know me and see that what I've been saying, the math, or it doesn't, and then you can call me out on it. But, with 5 beautiful children, we have a working unit. We are working together. Like, I think that that's what matters. And when you do that, you can build yourself. And since I only care about black people, this conversation is not for white people, but white people use these power dynamics all the time. One person earlier tonight was talking about why do black women have this issue, but all these other groups don't. The reason is because these other groups literally will chop their heads off. Like, you go across the world and the women are not allowed to talk back. So, here in America, we have this freedom of speech and we use it to our detriment. Like, we're not really doing what we're supposed to be doing. So, I kind of just wanted to clarify some things. Dana had me thinking, and I felt like I was about to go out very confusing. So Isla can definitely hold us down if you still keep the room open. And Empress is absolutely on my wavelengths as well. So a shout out to you, the room. If you want, you can check us out tomorrow night at 9:30. We have our space. We have shirts, we got cookies, we got teas. Like, you can check us out, hit me in my DMs. We have a lot of products that we're doing that help us build us. Like, solidify your square, pick yourself, and then everything else will do what they need to do.
All right. Well, thank you, sister. I appreciate you coming in. I know she just left, but thank you, Jess E. We're gonna kick it to you, Isla. Let you go ahead and drop some knowledge for us.
Thank you. I just want to respond to Dana's point. Um, and again, we don't disagree with if you have a preference, right? And there's a specific type of man that you deal with that will say that if you have a standard of, okay, I'm not paying more than 20%, then that's fine if you find that man who's willing to do that. My argument was, okay, we demand these things, right? And it's almost a sense of entitlement, right? And to me, some of it is just outrageous. We demand what we want from the men, right? But then when they have a request from us, because we are hard-headed, we have a tendency not to listen. We talk too much, we don't listen to what their needs are, and then what happens is we go through these cycles, and we got this body counts under our hood, because we go through the cycle of man after man after man, because we don't listen to what it is they need. Now, if that's what any person, and it's not directed at you, Dana, specifically, because I've heard this a lot. And I see it a lot. But anyway, we go through the cycle of men because we don't listen, right? And if you don't want to be a pick-me, and again, I'll go back to, and I stand firm on that, every single woman wants to be a pick-me. So for a woman who says, okay, I don't want to be married, and I don't, and I just want a relationship, then whatever it is that you see in this man that you want, right? You want to be picked by him, or if you're interested in him, you want him to pick you. So to me, that's the way. And I understand the negative part of what whoever defined the original term or coined the term. And I heard something about build a man or build a bear, I think was the term, or what have you.
Barbara the Builder.
Barbara the Builder. Okay, and that to me, that's a whole nother conversation that I think that we need to have too, because. Sometimes as women, and I don't mean to, go off topic, we get into this self-destructive pattern of trying to make men what we want them to be, right? And we do things, financially and otherwise. But anyway, that's a separate topic. But again, back to what I was saying about we go through these cycle of men, and I question, is this something that women truly want, right? To have man after man after man after man. It just, I just can't get that. And that's okay if that's what someone wants to do. And that's not a problem. But again, I feel personally, and this is Isla's words, not anyone else's, that we are at war, and the best defense that we have in the system of white supremacy, no matter how we want to deny it, it exists. It's here. They have socially engineered us to be separate from one another. There is strength in unity. There's strength, and it starts with the family, right? Or with, if you're not married, with your partner, right? That you want to build a legacy, which I don't recommend building a legacy with someone that you are not committed to, right? Because then you have a whole other host of problems. But anyway, to my point, so I can make my point and land. We are at war, right? And the thing that just confuses me is, why don't we want to be partnered, right? Why don't we want to be together? And I think it's because we have been put into this, we've been convinced by this system that we can make it by ourselves. We'll be okay. I got my 401k. I got my stock portfolio. I got me a little bit of real estate and stuff. But are you really happy? Are we really, and I'm not saying happy in the sense that they defined it, but are we really fulfilled? And that's just my question. And those are Isla's points of view. Okay. Now go ahead, Dana.
All right. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm not controlling the room. I apologize.
No problem. Thank you, Isla. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get to, and tomorrow night, guys, we're going to be having our space at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as always. So make sure Thursday night, we're going to have a space on the Chicago situation, a powder keg that could potentially blow up with everything going on in Chicago. Tomorrow night, one of the topics I know for certain that we're going to be covering the whole fiasco with basketball superstar Zion Williamson as well, too. So definitely Zion's been having some issues with the porn star lately, and things have got, as we could say, pretty ugly lately. So we'll be, yeah, we'll be touching up on that a little bit.
Like a pick me according to Dana's definition.
we gonna touch.
No, he's a simp. He's a immature simp. He's not a pick me.
Yeah, we.
And honest, and I love it. I'm talking about the girl. The girl, which girl? No, the girls are playing. The one that was like, oh, you didn't pick me. The one that would have all this stuff. No.
She wasn't the pick me, but she fumbled the bag. That's what she did.
But we ain't gonna get into that tonight. We gonna get into that tomorrow night, though. So.
Well, I'll be tuning in tomorrow, honey, because she fumbled the bag on that one.
Yeah, she kind of did. So we gonna touch up on that one tomorrow night. So y'all make sure you go ahead, like Dana say, we're hitting the news and all the hard stuff. Sometimes we got to go ahead and level things around a little bit as well too. So I want to go ahead and touch up on that, and we'll touch up on maybe a couple, at least one more other topic that night as well too. But we'll definitely be covering the Zion Williamson fiasco that's been rocking social media as of late. I want to go ahead and I want to get to Dana. I see you had your hand up, so I'm gonna get to you as well. I want to go ahead and get to Mel. I see Mel is up in the spot, and I'm gonna get to you, he am I, but let me go ahead and get to one of our new speakers. Mel, how you doing tonight?
Hey, good evening. Thank you for letting me speak. Shout out to the room.
How you doing?
Hey, what's up, boo? The topic is so super duper interesting, and I respect the ladies that are bringing this point of view, Eve and Isla and Empress, and I came in the room late. But based on what I heard, what I'd like to know, I'd like to hear your response as it relates to the ladies who, I forgot the name of the movie they were in, but that did all the mathematics for the NASA thing. All of those women, I'm sorry?
Those hidden figures, that's what you're talking about?
Yes, thank you. Yes. So you look at those hidden figure women, they went straight to college as soon as they got out of high school type of thing. And went to good schools, Harvard, I think Stanford, and I can't remember the other one. High education made a significant contribution to our country and a significant representation of Black Americans. And then, and so where does a woman with that type of drive, where does that fit into the example or the overview that you guys are laying down about the pick-me, etc.? And then Denzel Washington's wife took him out on the date, their first date, paid for their first date, and they've been together ever since. So under those circumstances, can you guys elaborate on how these type of women, how it fits into the narrative that you guys have presented this evening?
Okay. Now just Eve, she left, so I don't know if Ela may want to touch up on that real quick or not.
Yeah, I'll touch on.
Isla.
It's okay. It's okay.
Isla. I'm just gonna say Isla. I'm sorry, Isla. Go ahead, Isla. I'm sorry.
Out phonetically because that's how it. Don't worry about it. Anyway, no. Again, I think that there's some misunderstanding about what it is that we're saying in terms of being a pick-me, right? We're not saying that women cannot accomplish things or women cannot contribute to society. I mean, we do on many, many levels. I personally come from a family of highly educated, both women and men. But again, it's about the balance and the order. And it's about, I then want to question, well, yes, they've made these beautiful contributions, right? But in their personal lives, what did they have to give up for that, right? And I'm not saying that this is for everyone and that everyone must do it, right? It's not a mandate of any kind. But again, I go back to the whole system and the unit of family, right? And order of things. Now, I'm not familiar with either one of the women in terms of their personal backgrounds. Were they married? What roles did their husbands play? Were they not married? Were they single and they were just career driven? Well, then that's the trade-off. I mean, or the sacrifice that they in particular made. But where I do have a problem is when the women are being weaponized, especially amongst our community, against the men and elevated over the men. And it's not by accident. That's on purpose. So those kinds of things, those little nuances, is what I then tend to look into. I would never take away the accomplishments of our women. I do take issue with when our women allow themselves to be weaponized against our men. And I hope that I answered the question. And if I didn't, and there's anything you want me to clarify, I'll be happy to answer.
No, you answered it well. And I guess with a follow-up is, I do want to hear somebody respond to Denzel's wife taking him on the first date, paying for the first date. I just want to hear how it works. And then the thing with the Hidden Figures women is that, with that space in between graduating high school, going to college, and at some point meeting your future husband. How are you supposed to buy the time in between that? Because if they don't pursue the goals or dreams that they have, and they're just sitting there waiting for a man, they might be waiting forever. Or if they're not their best selves, they don't work to be the best that they are or they can be, then will they eventually be a suitable mate for anyone, because there's a lack of dissatisfaction with self. So I'm not saying I disagree with anything you guys have said. I'm just wondering how that particular conundrum fits into your overview.
Can I jump in there real quick? Is that cool?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So now I just want to know, like, just say, like, at that time, right, when that movie came out, that time frame or period, it was like the 40s and 50s, right? Just the structure of family alone was different. You were married pretty early, right? And if you weren't, you was kind of seen like an old maid. So there was 3 women, right? There was the older character, I can't remember who played her. They never really said nothing about her husband. I think she said so. She was, I've been married 3 times, if I remember. Then you had the main character, which was Taraji, right? Remember, her husband had died. So all that time she was doing all that work, she was single. She didn't meet her man until after she had that job and everything. But then you had Janelle Monáe's character. And I just want to give it like 30 seconds to her character. But y'all remember her character, right? She was married. She had children. Her husband didn't like her going to school. Y'all remember that? Her husband was like, he's doing all this stuff. He's supposed to be at home. But she was so adamant about doing this thing, and she was defying him, and she was just like, I gotta go, who will feed these kids? And it was a thing in their marriage. So there's a balance, like Isla was saying. To answer Mel's question, with our children, at that time, I think you were married young. You probably got married by the time you got out of high school. There was no really waiting. You probably were already married if you went to college at all. Let's keep it a buck. We talk about the 40s and 50s, right? But I think in modern times, with our young women, I think that's a good time for them to travel. They can try to figure out, get roommates and live on their own and see what it's like, experience their life. They can travel. And then by the time they're 25, which to me is marrying age, that's when your frontal lobes close, your hips get wider, you're ready to marry. You've been to college, you've traveled, you've seen the world, you've done some things. Now it's time to think about family in that aspect. And you are supposed to get on the program of the man that you choose. You are choosing him first, right? Probably being pursued by a whole bunch of men. Out of these 5 men, you pick the one that's like, I can get on board with that. Whatever he's planning to do with his lifestyle, I can get on board with that. And then you just do. I mean, to me, it's not very complicated. I don't think you're taking anything away from yourself. If you pick this man and he chooses you, y'all pick each other, and y'all plan a legacy based on his plan that you're choosing, I don't see why you would be deprived or feel slighted in any kind of way. I don't know. I guess all circumstances can have nuances to them, right? We could make a small example out of anything if we wanted to, but I'm just saying, like, as a majority, those are about them.
I think real quick, Mel wanted to also know about what the question she asked about Denzel's wife at the time, taking him out on a date and paying for it and everything. She wanted to know what, I guess, the room's opinion and view on that as well, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Okay. So Isla, personally, I don't have an issue with that, right? To me, it almost looks like, okay, well, she's willing to invest in this relationship, right? And that goes back to the whole, rule of who's going to be paying what and whatever, right? But she was willing to show, in my opinion, that she's willing to invest in the relationship. Now, some men will be offended by that, right? And then maybe the well, I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna reserve that comment. But some men may be offended by that, and then some women might be resentful if she feels that she has to pay for it, right? So again, it just depends on the couple. But for me, I look at it as, okay, this is a woman who is not after me just for my money. She really wants to build something with me, and she's willing to sacrifice and or invest in the relationship, so it won't be so much of a burden on me, but we're going to be growing things together. And then it just depends, again, it depends on the people. I don't have a problem with that personally. I don't. I truly don't. And some women do, because they feel, this is my opinion, they feel entitled, or that this man must do this, or all of his resources. But then again, I always bring it back to, what are you bringing to the table for him? What value do you bring for him to be, utilizing all of his resources on you? Like, what value do you bring? And sorry, I was about to be vulgar, but a vagina is not enough. It just is not enough. Anyway, I'll end and I'll end there.
All right, let me go ahead and get to He Am I, Dana, and then Aunt Liza. So you got your other profile up here. So He Am I, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Wow. I don't have a problem with a woman taking off from what going Dutch. But what I was listening to was a lot. And I'm just thankful I'm not in this generation where I have to be out here in the dating scene. Most definitely. But for the men, I think they need to really listen quite clear to what's being said on both sides. What do you want? Because it reminded me of a television show called 227, where you had a woman who was married with a successful man, family, another woman who was widowed, and then you had Jackie. So, I mean, you just need to be very clear on listening and being very outspoken on what you want. That's all I have to say.
227, you took it back in the day. I was a kid when that came on. Yeah, you had Marla Gibbs' character, and then you had the one from Sesame Street. She was on there, Rose. I think I believe, I can't remember. Rose was like, she owned the building at one time, but I can't remember if Rose actually got married. But then you had Jackie, who was supposed to be the showstopper, and Jackie could have.
Rose was widow.
Okay, Rose's widow. Okay, but she got married. I think she got married again. Didn't she get married again on there, if I'm not mistaken? But it's been so long. But then you had Jackie, who was the hot mama who everybody loved, and if she wanted to get married, hell, she could have got married, because she had all kind of suitors on there as well too. So, shout out to you, He Am I, because you took it back.
Well, if you're gonna get married and someone says I'm only paying 20% and they're only giving 20%, then you have to wonder, well, can I give 20% of my money? Or will you be there when I get sick? Or will you up and leave? See, these are the things men think about. If I lose my job, will you be there until I get over the hump? Or will you say, you ain't got the money, I got to go?
Real talk.
These are the things men should be thinking.
Absolutely. All right. Real quick, guys, we only got one person to donate. Like I said, we're trying to get people to donate $1 or $2 here or there. We got one person, that was Sister Rera, that donated tonight on Cash App. So if you got $1 or $2 and you can donate it, if you can spare it, if you can't, we understand. But if you can and you got $1 or $2, please, it's $Newstoter, $Newstoter. That's the Cash App, $Newstoter. Like I said, one of our sisters she supports.
And usually, if a woman really loves you, she'll be there for you.
He Am I. I think you must have went out. You must have went in the Matrix. I thought you had stopped speaking, bro. Yeah, I thought you had stopped speaking. I had went promo style on here with the little advertisement, and then all of a sudden I thought you had stopped. So my bad. Like, oh man, but shout out to He Am I, brother. I thought the brother had stopped. My bad. I didn't mean to interrupt you, brother, as you was flowing, but my bad. But once again, for those that can't support tonight, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Support Black media, support Black media. Let me give a shout out real quick to the liquor store, and let me give a shout out to Miss Giselle too for their contributions on Cash App. He Am I. Sorry about that, brother. I did not know you was still speaking. I thought you had stopped. So let me just apologize to you real quick on that. let me go ahead and get to Miss Dana, because I know Dana's got something to say, and I definitely kind of want to hear what she's going to say right here. But Dana, go ahead.
No, I think everybody's making good points. And listen, everybody has a preference. Everybody has their preference, their standards, their way of life. And that's your way of life, and there's nothing wrong with it. I think we need to stop trying to, and this is generalizing, trying to tell people what they should and should not be doing. Nobody should be worried about somebody's body count except for that individual. And as a woman, what I'm saying, whether she went through trauma or not growing up, because that's the case for a lot of women. Yes, we have to look at as far as our reputation. It is a difference between a man and a woman when it comes to sex. But as far as, paying for a date or whatever, and with Denzel, I think Denzel said he didn't have enough for the cab after the date. But if that was the case and she paid for the cab, or even if she paid for the date, she thought of him as a friend, not as a future husband, especially if it was the first date, because he didn't have anything. He could not provide for her, but he was going somewhere. Now, did she say, I'm in love? No. Did she sleep with him? We don't know. But let's just say what she probably didn't, depending on her standards or if she wanted to or not. So for me, what I'm saying, if I'm paying for a date, which I never would, but if we in a cab and it just so happened, okay, he didn't have enough for the cab and I'll pay for it, I'm not going to judge him, but I'm going to put him in the friendship box. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I'm sorry, as a man, why would you want to be in a serious relationship with someone where you're just trying to build yourself up? And going to his point, here I am. I think that was his name. I'm not sure. But, dating today, it's a hot mess today for the males and the females, the men and the women. It is a mess. It's totally different. But when you sit up here and say that, well, when men think about that, the 20, 80%, my question to you, sir, why are you thinking? Because if you thinking about 80-20 after the marriage, well, you fucked up. Because you already married this woman, and then you chose to pay attention or to ask her those questions that you should have asked in the beginning. Or state to her what you expect, or ask her what do she expect, or what does she want. See, nobody asks that question, because a lot of times you men, you don't know what you want, or you ain't ready for a serious relationship. Let's just keep it 100. Stop acting like you are husband material, because you're not. And if you are, then you should know to ask the right questions when you're courting. See, it's a pecking order. You don't just meet someone and boom, go get married. No. But a woman, whether she's paying for the date or not, you should always be a lady. You should always have manners. You should always be classy. See that? So that's just should be a given. I'm talking about what's in your wallet. And now I would never come out my mouth to a man and say that. But at the end of the day, whether I end up marrying him or not, when you do look at your roster of sexual partners, you feel a whole lot better knowing you wasn't jumping up and down on some broke dick. Oh, that makes a big difference. Because I'm not going to mess with no bum. And a lot of these chicks out here who you see on their Instagram, even your little favorite rappers with these Gen Zs, they all dealt with bums, they baby daddies. And then now that they're working their ass off, because this generation loves celebrity, loves social media, they love the movie, and the lady brought up with the 3 scientists or whatever. It was all fiction. See, people love fiction. And in fiction, people want to portray a certain lifestyle, and they ain't really living it. So when I personally meet whoever I'm dealing with on any level, you know what I'm saying? I'm not dealing with no bum. And if you have a problem not a problem. If that's your preference to go Dutch, I'm not going to argue with you with that. That's fine. That's your preference. I just won't go out with you, and I have every right not to. And then when I talk about the pick me or whatever, that's, it's a cute little hashtag or a cute little conversation that people can create content. And as long as you're monetizing it, go ahead at it. You know what I'm saying? But that whole pick me thing, yeah, going Dutch or opening up your wallet for a man, you a pick me. Now, how literally you want to take it, fine. If you want to get offended with that, fine. But the fact is that as a man, if you can't provide for that woman, whether it's on a small scale, medium, or a larger scale, then you can't be demanding anything. But stop acting like these men. The majority of you are husband material. You're not even boyfriend material, and you're not even ready to be in a serious relationship because number one, you can't provide, and then number two, a lot of y'all get caught up because you don't even know the right questions to ask a woman. And then you get mad when she's looking at you like, oh, I'm not cooking, I'm not doing this. Well, you didn't know that when you first was getting to know her? So, don't shoot the messenger because I'm being honest. Yeah, I'll yield for now.
Can I respond just real quick? And then
Lord, Dana, I tell you.
Hey, hold on real quick. Who said that? Was that you, Isla?
Yes, that was me.
Okay, go ahead real quick.
Okay. You know what? There's nothing that she didn't say that was inaccurate, okay, in terms of the man's being able to provide and making sure that you're vetting and you're choosing the right kind of women, right? I agree with that wholeheartedly, right? Again, because if we're going to create a family together or we're going to go somewhere, then yes, you need to be able to take on that responsibility, right? The only pushback that I kind of have, well, no, I don't even have any pushback on that because that is a preference, right? And if there are men that are willing to accommodate a woman who says, okay, I'm not paying for nothing, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, then that's fine, right? But again, I always bring up, okay, so if we are demanding or requiring, or that is our requirement or our standard, what do we bring to the table? Now, if you have a man that requires you to not have to bring anything to the table, then have at it. But that's not the reality too for women, for a lot of men. Men are equally dissatisfied with the quality of women that they have to choose from or pick from, right? And that's what we focus on. You want to be picked, you want to be in a relationship. So then for the women, then my question is, well, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I think a lot of us have gone mad with this sense of entitlement. And I'm not saying that in terms of a preference, right? But we feel entitled to certain things that we give absolutely nothing back in return. What value do we bring to him besides our vagina? And to me, that's insane. And that's my only thought. And again, I agree 100%. If you're going to take on the responsibility as a husband or a boyfriend or whatever committed relationship, however you want to classify yourselves, then yes. And there are men who hold other men accountable for being bums. I'm not saying be reckless in just choosing any old person because you get caught in your feelings, because you too are investing, right? You too are if you're a woman that brings something to the table, you're not going to just choose someone who's unable to meet your standard and or provide and or protect, or who has no sense of leadership, no sense of discipline, no sense of order, don't know what to tell me in terms of if you want me to do something, you have no plan for us. So again, there are men who hold other men accountable for being bums. We focus on just the women. And that's all.
Just one second, just to her response, because as far as what women bring to the table, well, you got to understand is, and I think women do understand. That's why I look at women like, stop with the cat. I'm generalizing here, but what a woman brings to the table besides her vagina is what that man wants. But a lot of men don't know what they want. See, women finesse men, and we do it very well. It's a finesse game. The quickest way for a woman to gain wealth is through marriage, which But you got to look at the man you're marrying to make sure that he's on that track or already there. But it is a finesse game. And a lot of women who are married that I know, just knowing married women, they're finessing their husbands, whether you're dating, it don't matter. It's all about the finesse. And the reason why women can't finesse men, whether it's for good or evil, is because they don't know what to look for. They don't know what to ask because for whatever the reason may be. So what a woman brings to the table besides her vagina, I think a lot of women got to understand, whether you agree with me or not, that's really the number one main thing that a men want because they can't live without that. Men don't care about your desires. They don't. They don't care about your ambitions in life. They really don't care if you have a brain or if you're intelligent. If you do, yeah, that could be a plus. And some men don't even want you to have a brain. They don't care if you have degrees. They don't care if you have money. Why do you think they don't care? Because they are attracted to you and men looking to get laid. Now, if we choose to sleep with them on the first night or whatever, then you have to understand what could come, the consequences that could come after that. But as a woman, if you are looking for a serious relationship that could blossom into a marriage, you have to know how to play the game and to finesse your way into that situation. But at the end of the day, that's what men want first. It's some ass. Point blank, period. I don't care if you agree with it or not. That is the truth. And any man come up here, that's not true. You're lying. Because
that's
you
not
can't
true.
live without it.
That's not true.
And you're lying. You're lying. You're lying. Because all you eat, let's just talk to the men who's married. Because when you this is the thing, men who are 50 and plus, right? And their wives are quote unquote 50 plus or whatever. They ain't having sex with their wives. And then they're like, oh, she's going through menopause, she don't want to have sex. No, boo-boo. You understand, women's sex drive gets better and it increases 40 plus. She don't want to have sex with you. But you need sex. You gonna go find it somewhere else. You needed it when you matter because you wasn't physically attracted to her. Men are visuals. They are physically attracted to a woman first. They don't care what you got or what you don't got. They don't care.
I'll agree with that. They generally don't care, but I don't agree with that. That's all that they want, or that's what the first thing is that they want. Now, is that a part of the deal? Yes, and that we talk about this as well, about sex and women and men and all this, the dynamics that goes along with that. I don't disagree with what you're saying overall, but I do disagree that that's the only thing that men want.
Yeah, that's what 80% of the time.
Well, the thing is that those men that's what they want. There's a plethora of women out there that'll do that, and that'll just be just for that. There are, but when you're talking about men who are seriously thinking about legacy and building, that's just a bonus. There's other things that women need to bring to the table for a man to decide that, hey, I want to settle down with this woman. I want to have children. I want to build a legacy with this woman. And again, yeah, you're right. There are a lot of women that are out there on the Instagram and social media and everywhere else, and they are out for the finesse. And they're out to get, and the brothers got to be aware of that too. They most certainly do. I talk to my sons about stuff like that. Don't get caught up in your feelings and don't get, just chase a woman because of the physical, looks or what have you. But anyway, the only thing is I don't believe that that's all that men want. I do believe that men want legacy. I do believe that men like committed relationships.
Real quick, and then I'm going to just mute up and then go back to raising my hand. But no, when you look at the dating scene nowadays, there are some men that think about legacy and marriage. The majority of men, especially nowadays, do not. And a lot of times now, men are starting to understand that is it worth me marrying this woman? Because if I marry her, and let's say yes, she's able to stay at home, but if I marry her and we get a divorce, because that is a big possibility, she gains, I don't. And then on top of that, women nowadays, especially in the state of New Jersey, there is no alimony. And so you have to be 1,000% stay at home 24/7 in order to get alimony. So if you are a woman and you enjoy your job and your career and you get married and you get a divorce, trust and believe he's going to want alimony from you. So this whole concept of men really want legacy in a marriage at the end of the day, no, they don't. No, they don't. A very small percentage. Because again, if you ask a man what he wants, he can't tell you. And then the man just said, men think about that 20. The other gentleman said, yeah, men gonna think about that 20%. Well, why are you thinking and not asking? So you shouldn't even have to think that. You should automatically have that on your mind at the first hello. But you know what's on your mind at the first hello is getting in them panties. And women know that. So whether all women finesse. So whether it's a woman that wants a husband, because that's the thing, women go to college, even to this day, to look for a husband. All the girls hang out in the engineering school because those are ones that's going to be making a lot of money. That's part of the finesse. But they're looking for a husband. I will be the good wife, but I want a husband, and you're going to be able to provide because how much money you're going to make. That's finesse. And that is what we do as women. But I'm going to mute up.
All right.
Right. So, and that goes to what I said. If you want, okay, so you
real quick, Ela, because I want to get, we got a couple hands, but go ahead real quick.
When you want to be picked by this engineer, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. What are you doing to be picked?
All righty.
Whatever he want me to do, because I know what I want from him.
All right. Let me go ahead.
I know what he wants from me.
Okay, I'm gonna come back to you ladies real quick, but let me go ahead. I want to, because we got a new speaker up here, and I'm gonna get to. Let me give a shout out real quick to. Let me give a shout out real quick to Jean and Wilson as well too. Thank you for your contributions tonight, ladies. Let me go ahead and get to Jean. No taxation. Go ahead and unmute your mic. How you doing tonight?
It's so good to hear you laugh, Newstoter. It's bringing a smile to my face. I'm glad you're laughing. And I'm glad you're smiling because you need to. This is an interesting conversation, isn't it? Hello to everybody in the room. Sorry, I did not get my salutations. I'm so glad I'm not in y'all's generation, because when I was your age and younger, when I was single, I was married one time before. My history is that I was married one time before for a length of time, and I worked. And he worked, and we both worked, and we had a son, and that marriage ended, and I was single for a period of time, and I married again for a period of time. So, I've been in and out. But before my first marriage, and I was young, I wasn't no bad looking girl, but I was always the one that got away. That was my claim to fame, because I like a good chase, because men love a good chase. And I always felt that as long as they were chasing me, then, I could basically get what I wanted. The goal for me was to never get caught. And so, and that remained true throughout my entire life. First marriage ended, and I was single again. I was a mature woman. And my goal then was, don't get caught. And I really enjoyed that part of my life, that single part of my life when I was vibrant, making good money. And my son was in his, teenage years, and I kind of knew what life was really all about. And I enjoyed it. And I got married again because it was too good to pass up for me, if you want to know the truth about it. Nobody wants anybody who's not pleasing to their eye. That's the first thing. And I think also to Isla's point is about, what do you bring? What value do you add? I think that's for the man to decide. I think both people should come into a relationship whole. If you're just dating, it really doesn't matter. But if you want a serious relationship, it's more than just what do you want, and what are you looking for, and is it pleasing to my eye? It's also other intrinsic things that are going to be important later on in life, like what my husband and I are planning in our part of the life. We're not building anymore. We don't need to build. We need to dismantle, as far as I'm concerned, because it's a lot of overhead. Um, and so when I look at that, um, is that a place? What he's planning? When we were dating, we dated a good 2 years before we got married, and inside of those 2 years, we talked about everything. And he knew that I was giving up an existence that meant a lot to me. Um, like I had a great single girl life, I really did, and especially when my son was grown and gone, I loved it. And I had to give it up. And there were certain concessions that I was going to have to make, not job wise, because I really wasn't concerned about that. Um, the money part of it, because you get to a point in your life where you're stable. But I was concerned about, being at home. He's a traditional person, being at home and cooking and those kinds of things. I was the single girl that had purses stored in her stove because the stove never never turned the stove on. You know what I'm saying? So, like it was a storage area. So I didn't really, that's just who I was. It's not that I couldn't cook, but I had a whole history of cooking. And so when my son left and I didn't have to cook, I didn't cook anymore. That's just what it was, and I enjoyed that part of my life. And now I do more cooking. And I have to cook for my husband because I want him nourished in a certain way because he works hard for himself and he works hard for me. Um, but I say that to say, here's the example of the intrinsic things that I'm talking about. I own my own business and so does my husband. I had to tailor my business and draw it down a little bit when I got married to make room for my husband. And we were fine. We had a couple of, 2 or 3 pieces of property and, sell one, get another. And that's where we were headed. And we were looking around the country and that kind of thing. And COVID hit. Because we owned our own businesses, we had to not just tighten our belt, but, we had to count our pennies. Now, that has nothing to do with what we have stored up in life because we both believe that what we have stored up for our later years, our elderly years, we don't want to touch. And so, we changed some things. We changed households. We sold the property and those kinds of things, and we made it. We survived, and we're back on track now. But having said that, it wasn't a test in our marriage because we were both whole people when we came into the marriage, and we knew what we had to do to survive together. Have to be a team. If you're not a team, then what are you? If you're not going in the same place, then what are you? What are you doing? And you have to agree to go in the same place. You have to agree on the goals, and it has to be worked out. Especially, like I say, you're coming into a relationship. If you're being serious, if you're just playing around, it makes no difference, right? But if you're being serious about this person, you have to understand who that person is and do you want to team up with him? And that works on both sides of the aisle. I have to agree to it, and he has to agree to it. And there are the reasons that I married my husband, even though he provides a much more economically beneficial life than I had for myself when I was single. That was not my concern. My concern was, does he love himself? Because a man who doesn't love himself can't give you love. Does he respect himself? Because a man who doesn't respect himself can't respect you. Is he good to himself? So though I want him to be 100% whole, a 100% man that can take care of himself and that will do the things that need to be done for him. Because my job to care for him is when he can't care for himself. As long as he can care for himself, I shouldn't have to care for him physically. But if he physically cannot care for himself, then that's where, and I can't, then that's where my wifely duties, my real wifely duties kick in. And so there are certain things that he must do. He must get his prostate checked. You got to get his heart checked. All the different things that you have to do to care for yourself. And sometimes men don't like doing that. They don't want to do that. It's just not in their nature. And you have to force the issue. And so you have to look at things that are when you talk about value, you're talking about lifetime value. You know, is he going to be a whole person? Is he going to be open and communicative? Is he going to make room for you? Because my husband is a bit of a workaholic. He books 3 or 4 months in advance, and you know, his time is more important than anything else to him. And so, you know, are you going to make room in your schedule? So there was a lot of things that we had to work on, and there was a lot of things that we had to work out before we got married. Unfortunately, we did, and it's lasted for, you know, a good number of years, and we're okay, we're fine. You know, we have our hitches. Nothing is perfect, and we're not looking for perfection either. But I say, don't sweat it. Just be you, do you, and when it happens, and when you meet him, ladies, you'll know. Trust me, you'll know, and the man will too. And if you think of it in this way, that a man's job, as far as getting married and that kind of thing, is to find a woman. So he has to be, you know, he's got to go from woman to woman. He has to, because he's searching for a woman, right? But a woman's job is to choose a man. So that means she should be having men come her way. And so if you know, men, if you see women that have men in her face, maybe she's looking to choose. And ladies, if you see a man that's going from a woman to woman, maybe he's trying to find a woman. So don't read too much into it, and be yourself. Work on yourself. Be a 100% person. And even when you do get married, you're still you. If you want to work, fine. If you don't want to work, fine. You know, that's something that you work out. Maybe you have to work. Maybe you both have to work, and that's okay too. If you're a team. But I would suggest in these days and times that if you're going to build and have children, that's when I think a woman should be home with the children until the children are in school all day. And just maybe she could do something part time or something at home, because there's a lot of stuff you can do, so that she can make herself available to, in case something goes down at the school, because you know these schools have a lot of shit going. Excuse me, a lot of stuff going down. So I would say that would be a bonus. Interesting conversation. I missed the part about the what pick me means. So I'll go back and listen to it in the beginning. But yeah, it's interesting. But don't sweat it, y'all. Don't read too much into it. And I'm gonna leave it at that.
All right, Aunt Lai, go ahead and unmute your mic. Are you there, Aunt Lai?
Yes, peace, black power, and reparations. I'm gonna be really quick. It was a lot of good conversation, and a lot of stuff was said. And I'm gonna veer off, but I'm gonna be on the same topic. What sparked my interest in their definition of pick me, as far as being the homemaker and being for the kids, and the white supremacy piece, which I think is like overlooked, but I'm going to speak on it in regards to black women in the workplace, especially after, you know, me filing my lawsuit against an entire branch of government and going through everything that I've been through. What I've noticed is, if I was a single mother, or if I was just a single person, I would have been crushed. Because I had that strong black man there, it was a success, because I had somebody who had my back, whether I get on his nerves or not, or vice versa. And the purpose of white supremacy, or what white supremacy try to do, is their attack of the family. So when you think of it in that standpoint, you got to understand, all these black women go to work, black women with the student loan debt is at an all-time highs. You know, we was begging, because a lot of black women with the student loan debt, and going in the workplace, and then when you get to work, they treat you like crap. I was suspended from work for taking off the care for my sick child. As a black woman, you get suspended from work for taking off work to care on approved FMLA. The black woman is under attack, and what I got from the whole pick me and the support system, if you don't have that, if that man wasn't there, I would have been destroyed. I would not have been able to file my lawsuit. I would not have been able to successfully do my business. So when you think about what she was saying as far as white supremacy and the attack on the family and the black man not being ahead, yes, we all know that my husband called me his secretary all the time, that the women really money. My husband give me his checks and I pay the bills. But if I didn't have a husband there, because again, I was one of those independent, I don't need a man for nothing. My mother, my parents wasn't married. My father was a deadbeat. The man was there, but I don't need a man. I don't need a man. That was my thing. And luckily, God saw fit that, my husband was like, shut up and you need a man. And I really took heed to that. Wait a minute. What was I thinking? Because the way white supremacy works, white supremacy is the attack of the family. And when you have these women in the workplace being harassed, I was talking to somebody the other day, whether it's in the education, if you're in schools, or if you're at banking, or if you're a businesswoman at a Fortune 500 company, the black woman is under attack. And if the man is not there, they know they can come after these women, and then women have to put up with the abuse for Lord knows how many years, which again affects their health. Think about that. You got suspended. I got suspended from work. They got a federal lawsuit for taking off of work to care for my sick child. No way that would have happened to a white woman. But that's how they attack the family. So thinking from the definition that it was explained to me and the importance of it, especially from a white supremacy standpoint, they want to get the family. I know they mad as hell that I got a husband who don't pay me no mind and that is supportive of me, because everything I'm able to do, my business, my book, my documentaries, I am this black girl magic. But baby, if it wasn't for that man having my back and putting his family and being an excellent provider, I wouldn't be able to be none of that. So we have to think of the white supremacy attacking the family, and from that standpoint of it, it's like that's how they do. That's how they attack the family. That's exactly how they do. When the woman is not taking care of the kids and not in the house, and them being told that you should want more than that, even if it is you don't want to be changing diapers all day. Why you sit there? Think about it like this. I was labeled with my daughter for 20 hours. I'm a label for you for 20 hours. You almost die when a woman gives birth, and then I'll give you somebody else after 6 weeks. Somebody else got to raise you. Somebody else got to watch. What the heck? That don't even make sense to me. It never did. And then they teaching you about the rainbows and the colors and everything else they teaching you, but they're not teaching you anything about your black history. They won't teach you about Emmett Till, but they want you to know about Anne Frank. It's all the white supremacy. That's exactly. Think about a woman is close to death. They just said the lady, I forgot her name, she just ran track. She was 34 years old. She just died. She just died in childbirth.
Oh,
Bowie. She just died in childbirth. So for a woman to be closest to death when she gives childbirth, to have her child, to give it over for somebody else to raise. And as a people, we really need to start. And again, that's everything I've been through. I see things differently now than I saw them before. But thank God that strong black man is in the household. So when you think of, okay, how was she able to do this? 2 lawsuits and all of this, I was able to do that because of my husband. But don't tell them. Remember, we can't tell them that. All right, I'll end my plane.
All right. Thank you, Aunt Lai. Let me go ahead and get to FBA Empress. FBA Empress, go ahead and unmute your mic.
I think that was a word. That was amazing. I think we should tell them. It's almost Father's Day. We should tell them. I'm just saying.
Better give them that third option. Third option is Father's Day.
That's beautiful. Why would you not want to hear that? I'm trying to even get my thoughts together because that was just amazing. I'm so sorry. What was I even about to say? Oh my God. So here's what I want to say, right? I think that, again, that was absolutely beautiful. And we do need our men. I think that we just need to act like it. Because I think sometimes we say these things, we'll be online, we tell these men, like, I love you, black men. But when it's collectively time to actually listen to them, we don't do that. I just did a space. It wasn't last week, this week before. I'm like, or maybe it was a couple of weeks. I don't know. Masculine protection requires following directions, being obedient. Sorry, I hate to be the one to break it to you, but as a collective, like we're telling these men that we need them, right? But then we don't want to do anything to attract them. We don't want to come up out of our own selves, come up out of our own way. We just want them to accept us as we are. But here's the kicker: we don't even accept them as they are, right? Because you're like, I got standards, and they gotta be like this, like this, like this. I don't understand what the problem is. I think we're making this very complicated when it's really simple, right? Like, as far as Ms. Dana, what she was saying, right? Like, all these things could be true, right? You could be the dude, he could be a bum. You could be the girl, she could be a whore. Like, all of those things could be true. I think when it comes to being equally yoked, we need to decipher all of that stuff first, right? Instead of knowing what your favorite color is, I need to know how you grew up in your home. What's your background? Your parents married? Like these are the things that we should be asking, and I think maybe we should learn them. I think we're very deliberate about where we go to school at, right? We're very deliberate about jobs. You don't just be like, if I get a job, God's going to put a job in my lap, and God, if so and so. No, you go out strategically. You have skills. You probably go to school to get this job. Why can't we strategically look for our mates? Is it not important? Like, are our children not important? Is our legacies not important enough to just think about it? Nobody's perfect, but our families are in shambles. Whatever we're doing now, sure ain't working. It's just something to think about. And if we just gonna be strategic, I just say apply that to our relationship as well. I think it's just as serious. But I'm gonna get out of here because I'm due in another space. But if y'all finish ahead, come through the liquor store. We'll be open probably all night long. I appreciate the conversation. Thank you, Newstoter, and I'll tune in tomorrow. Thank y'all.
All right. Thank you, FBA Empress. Let me go ahead and get to Dana. We're not going to keep the space open too much longer, y'all. So we'll go ahead and let Dana get it in. And if anybody else wants to say something, go ahead and raise your hand. And we're not going to keep it open too much longer. Go ahead, Dana. Unmute your mic.
Yeah. I just want to say everything what you just, where let Risha go? I was commenting. Oh, there she go. But I just want to say, just pick me stuff, and I don't know how in the hell pick me equate white supremacy or combat against white supremacy. Listen, I thought this was a light topic tonight, and white supremacy and the family. Honey, what you described was modern woman. See, that's when you want to talk about modern day women. You know what I'm saying? And that whole debacle thing. Not pick me has nothing to do with fighting against white supremacy. So your situation, your husband and your situation is a serious situation, and of course your husband there helps a lot. Imagine if you didn't have him and you were a single parent. A lot of women go through that every day. That has nothing to do with pick me. I don't care what somebody say it does. That's that person's own personal definition. The term pick me did not come from that. That person took the term pick me, which is thrown around all over social media, right? That people are making content off. She just took it and flipped it into her own thing, which is fine. That's not the definition of a pick me, Larisha. What you're talking about is modern day women. So. I can't. If you talk about a single mother, and let's say it was a single mother going through a lawsuit, and she didn't have a man. So as black and the white supremacy, so black women should be running around here saying "pick me, black man." It don't work that way. And if you gotta say "pick me," then I gotta say, well, then what are the men doing? Because they're not serious about a relationship or about a marriage. Do they understand the concept? But in modern times today, because it is different, dating is totally different now. Before you get to the marriage, before you get to the committed relationship, you do have to date. You know what I'm saying? So even dating now is totally different. It's so superficial on the man and the woman's part. So it's like, women expect to be treated a certain way. Well, definitely with respect, but they think they're entitled to all these materialistic things. Women are vanity driven, and any woman that tells you otherwise, she's lying to you. She's a liar, because we are vanity driven. That's just in our soul. And so pick me is just someone who is willing to do whatever to get a man. Pick me. You want to go Dutch? Pick me. You want me to pay for the date? Pick me. You know what I'm saying? So it don't have nothing to do with white supremacy, and that's just too deep for tonight's topic. But what I do want to say is also when it comes to women, if you do want a man, and you want a man to provide for you, don't go off of looks, because usually the men who are the providers, so that you could be able to stay at home, or if you're dating, winding down or whatever, right? They really don't look that good. If you try to always go for the fine one, he has a whole roster, and you're not going to get all the treats. Married women, a lot of married women are the biggest hoes. And somebody mentioned body count. Well, people got to understand, women who are married, they're still gaining a body count. Let's just keep it a buck. So a lot of these married people have toxic marriage. They just know financially it makes sense because, again, they're probably going 20-80 or 50-50, but they're not doing everything by themselves 100%. But that pick me has nothing to do with white supremacy. But, listen, this space, it seemed like it was fun until we want to talk about black family and white supremacy or whatever. That's kind of just killed the spirit of it.
It was still fun though.
When it first started, because when it first started, I was asking, what is a pick me? Because I didn't understand. My definition of a pick me is with slavery days when a woman, when anybody who sleep with anybody for anything. So I sought clarification what it was, what the topic was. So the people who have the podcast explain to me what their podcast is about, what they talk about in the podcast, and why they talk about what they talk about. And from them explaining their definition of what it is in terms of white supremacy and the breakdown of the family and how they say anybody want to be picked, that's what the topic that I was talking about from what they said. I understand what you were saying because I was saying I didn't think a pick me was a positive thing. But from the topic of because it was about her podcast, and her podcast was how they changed the terminology of it. And that's why I was saying what I was saying, because the last time when they talked and they broke it down, that's what they were saying about how the families and everything was created. So going from that piece on their definition, I'm not talking about the definition of the one that you're talking about, which is what I understand it to be, which is not their definition of it. So in their definition of it, because again, I saw clarification and got an understanding, that is what the topic from what
so this wasn't all right. So the pick me for tonight's space is under the circumstances of right. It's about the podcast, and they focus on white supremacy and how it's affecting black people, and they use the terminology pick me. And just one more thing, Isla, I don't know if you're married or not. If you're not married, don't ever pay for any more dates. You are too much of a nice person. See, you're nice, and I don't even know you. You're nice. You should not be paying for dates. You have to understand that you could be a lady, but don't be that nice lady that paid for dates. No, they don't deserve that. A man has to be a man. Taking a woman out to lunch or to dinner on a date, period, that's nothing where I come from. That's like brushing your teeth. So a man nowadays expect for a woman to go Dutch, just say goodbye. Goodbye, sir.
Go ahead, Isla, because I'm gonna let you say something, and then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna close it out. Go ahead.
No, I do not pay for dates. I do have standards that are specific to Isla, but I do not see a problem with a woman paying for a date, and I do not see a problem with a woman investing in the relationship via finances.
Okay, Isla, that's a problem. Maybe we got to do a part 2.
We may have to do a part. We may.
Podcast, Dana.
Yeah, we may.
Y'all talking about white supremacy? I don't want to talk about white supremacy.
What? Okay. Well, we'll
not with the pick me thing. We could talk about the date. Yeah. I don't want to talk about white supremacy.
Well, it's just that everything always turns back to that. All the problems that we have in our relationships with us economically and all across the board in all areas of people activity, it all stems from the system of white supremacy. And all we're saying is, okay, you women who want to be married or you want to be dating material or what have you, what are you doing to be picked, right? And if you come into the table half-assed, and excuse me for cussing on your podcast, because we get down on the we have no filter on the podcast. But anyway, you come in half-assed and you want all this stuff, then what are you bringing to the table? And the truth is that a lot of women aren't pickable material. They just are not. And that goes again. It's okay. I agree with the modern stuff or what have you, and social media and all those other things that we threw in the mix as to why relationships are just effed up today. And that's the focus, or that's the purpose of the podcast. is we focus on holding the women accountable. Okay, you say you want all this stuff, then let me check your engine. Let me see what kind of shape you're in. But anyway, I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Isla. Thank you, sister. And thank you and Just E for coming tonight. And definitely this was a great space. So I definitely appreciate you, sisters. And we will definitely have to do this again whenever you guys have a moment. I know you guys do your own thing. So maybe we can collab in the future again, because I definitely thoroughly enjoyed this. And I was glad, Isla, this is the first time I've ever heard you speak up in the space as well too. So thank you, sister. I'm glad I always see you up in the space, but I'm glad that you came in and you contributed to the nice conversation, and you did a fantastic job. Is it all the speakers as always? So shout out to you, Aunt Lai, FBA Empress, she's gone now, Dana, No Taxation. Shout out to all you guys that came up in here and spoke tonight. We definitely appreciate it as always. Let me go ahead and I'm going to turn it to DJ real quick, Professor real quick, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to shut this space down for the night, y'all. We will be back. Like I say, we will be covering the Zion Williamson debacle. It's NBA players and porn stars. We don't know what the title space is going to be, but that's definitely going to be a topic. So definitely come out tomorrow, and we're going to discuss that as well too. So DJ, Professor, which one of y'all want to go first?
All right, Professor, if you want to go.
Yeah, I just want to say, great discussion there, ladies. I really enjoyed sitting back listening to all of you talk about this issue. Dana broke it down with her basically just all her different ideas about what this is supposed to mean, and then of course got Lai come up in here and she gave her 2 cents on what she thought it meant, and then of course we had Isla and who else? Shoot, I don't got everybody's name, but anyway, it was a great discussion. Thank y'all for coming up in here. And I'm sorry, Just E, because I know she left out. So it was a great discussion, and like Toto said, come out for tomorrow night, because it sounds like tomorrow night gonna be another one like tonight. But let me say this, y'all, with this whole pick meat thing, I ain't gonna lie. At first, I thought it was about this thing where I used to do and go to a store and pick like 3 meats or 5 meats. Pick 3, pick me, or whatever. That's what I was thinking about.
You thought it was like that pick 5 for 25 or something like that?
Yeah, man, that's what I was thinking about. Shit, my ass hungry, man. I'm thinking about meat and shit. But anyway, and by the way, Dana, that's not meat in terms of the panties of women, okay? Because I actually do believe in love and romance.
Professor, how old are you?
Well, I'm almost 50 though, so I'm different.
Yeah, so you had that mindset in your 20s or under 35. Please stop.
Well, I didn't. I was a good dude back in my 20s. Shit.
I mean, you probably wasn't reckless, but stop. It's different now. When you're over 45, it's different.
Definitely. DJ, you want to go ahead and add it in?
Yeah, you already know. Get in the Jumbotron, come to the liquor store. That's it. See y'all tomorrow.
I will definitely, like I say, this was a great space tonight. And like I say, I just learned about the pick me thing a few weeks ago. So I was really, I've been watching some videos because I knew we had this space. We had planned it last week. So I want to try to go ahead and educate myself as much as possible because I didn't know a whole lot. But from what I heard, like I say, and I could definitely understand everybody's point of view in the space as well, too. But hey, I'm going to be honest. I ain't got nothing against the pick-me's. Like, hey, do your thing. Like, I'm going to be honest. I kind of dig it a little bit. But that's just me personally. I definitely don't have anything against it. However somebody wants to structure their relationship, I can see what Dana's point of view is and no taxation, Aunt Lies. But hey, like I say, the pick-me's might have found a new little soft spot in my heart right there. So I'm definitely down for the pick-me ladies. So shout out to y'all and keep doing what you're doing. And hopefully y'all can spread the word even more out there as much as possible too. So on that note, I feel that's the best way to go ahead and close the space out for the night. So shout out to everybody. Thank you. Catch us tomorrow night for the Zion Williamson space as well too. So peace, everybody, and we'll see you.
Peace. Captain Simmons was right.